The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. The esports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, where legends are made. eSports Oval League, driving the arcade. Racing in the grind cup where legends are made. The eSports Oval League, driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The eSports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the tires. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise. Pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge. Pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge. Drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge.
we
Good
got?
evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for the 10th race of the 2025 season for the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. Today we take to the tricky triangle in preparation for this evening's Val Green Builders 260. 3 entirely different corners at the Pocono Raceway, 100 laps here tonight. We've had a number of different drivers go to victory lane, could see yet a different driver park it in victory circle. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Scott Rankin, and Scott here tonight. Entirely unique racetrack, 2.5 miles in length. We haven't run a track that length in terms of speedway since the opener at Daytona. But those 3 unique corners, and a lot of times you talk to drivers and it's always the general consensus. You're going to be really good in one corner, but then you try and find something to cope with the other 2 corners based on how your car is set up.
The thing is, it's all 3 different driving styles, 3 different apexes, 3 different times to try and get back to the bottom, and corners modeled after 3 different racetracks. Turn 1 is modeled after a racetrack that we actually don't see on the NASCAR schedule and haven't seen on there. Then you've got the very, very similar to Indianapolis and modeled off Indianapolis Turn 2. And then the final corner, I thought it might have been New Hampshire. It's actually modeled after that of the Milwaukee Mile. So, 3 very unique corners, 3 very different driving styles, 3 very different car styles required to get around this track. So when you talk about that all of a sudden makes things a lot more tricky to get the job done, because you can't drive the car in the same format to get the job done at all 3 ends of the racetrack. That means that from a technical standpoint, from a driver, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah, you talk about the fashioned after 3 different types of racetracks. You already mentioned about the Milwaukee Mile. Indianapolis, Turn 2 is fashioned after. We'll be going to that racetrack here on the schedule in the middle of July. And, of course, that first corner fashioned after Trenton Speedway, the 14-degree Turn 1, the highest banked corner here of the 3. An interesting thing here, too, and I'll get your take on it, because I've heard a lot of drivers that are really good at the road courses. They say, no, this isn't a 3-corner racetrack. This is actually a 6-corner racetrack, because there actually is a difference in the corners between the entry to the center and then the center off on all 3 corners here.
Turn 2, not so much, but definitely Turn 1 and Turn 3 as well. It is actually a late apex style is the preferred style of driving around here, which tends to be a lot more of your road course style. And the thing about that is that it's all about maximizing speed off. If you have a look at why do we drive this track in this format in 3 different ways, well, it's all about maximizing speed off of all 3 of the corners. Turn 2, not so much. There's only a little bit of a short shoot, and that's the difference over there. But Turn 1 and Turn 3, they've got nice long straightaways immediately after them. That's where your overtaking is going to be done. So you've got to set that up off of Turn 2. You drive, put yourself in a nice position to get the job done, but you won't complete the pass until the back end of the front straightaway. And the thing is, you can defend from the top in Turn 1 and in Turn 3.
Yeah, the tunnel turn, Turn 2, the faster of the 3 corners. Maybe the more technical corner going to be that final lower banked Turn 3. Kyle Holden back in the field here tonight. We didn't see him last week, but he comes into this race no longer the only driver with multiple victories on the season, as last week at the Iowa Speedway, we saw Alan Dobbs clinch his 2nd checkered flag of the 2025 season. As consequence, Dobbs comes into this race now the overall points leader by a meager 5 points over Kyle Holden. Former winner DJ Daniel sits 3rd, 51 points back, 52 points back Noah Jackson, and Patrick McQuaid, who's been very consistent this season, currently in that 5th position. What do you think? You've had the opportunity to be out there, run some laps, be around these guys. Are we looking at a Dobbs versus Holden feel here, with those 2 being at the top of the point standings, or do we see some other drivers entering their way in? Because I noticed a couple, like a trio, a quartet of names that were up at the top of the charts in practice, and they're up here in qualifying as well.
Yeah, so Trey Whitehead is definitely quite quick here. Noah Jackson, these guys have just pulled that lap out of nowhere, but the big thing is worthwhile noticing in terms of temperatures is between the practice session and the qualifying session, the track's dipped quite a long way in terms of temperatures. The reason for that, we've just hit 4 p.m. in sim time. That's where the UV starts to come off the racetrack. There's not as much energy going into the racetrack, just because the angle of the sun, it changes. It changes the way the car drives. All of a sudden, there was a bit more grip on offer, and you actually had to drive it a fair bit harder. So the actual driving style's already swung around a little bit just in that session alone. That means we're also going to be putting a lot more load through the front right tire, and the worthwhile thing to note is coming off a lot of these corners, Seth, there's a little bump off of 3. The cars are running so low to the ground. I actually think the rear splitter might be bottoming out if you're overloading that end. And the car is so much on limit and you're driving it so hard off and trying to point it that the accuracy level between driving a good race car, driving an average race car, and driving a car that's spinning is very, very small. And you've got to set yourself up in the way that you approach these corners. Same thing's happening. A big bump in the middle of turn 1. The other thing worthwhile noting, pit lane speed here tonight is higher. This is the highest pit lane speed that we're going to see on the season. Pit boxes, some of the least grippy that you're going to see on the season. Alan Dobbs, I was chatting to him pre-race, and one of the things he said, go and do yourself the favor of running through the pit stall and actually practicing pulling up in your pit bowl. I blew through it. I completely and only blew through it. I ended up a stall and a half ahead. I had to back all that way up. It is one of the most difficult pit boxes to pull up in. Money stop, that could be critical.
Yeah, pit road at Pocono usually plays just as much a part, if not more so, in the outcome of a race as what takes place on the racing surface itself, which makes things interesting here too, because mention about the fact that in speedway terms, this is the tied for the longest length racetrack that we've been at here this season. Daytona 2.5 miles in length, this 2.5 miles in length. What does that do in terms of pit strategy? Because I mentioned it last week when we concluded our Iowa broadcast. I felt like this was going to be a place where we were going to see a lot of pit strategy come into play. Not even necessarily just for the stage ends and those valuable stage points, the playoff point to the stage winner, but towards the end of the race with the checkered flag on the line as well. 25 laps in stage 1, 25 laps in stage 2, 50 laps to the end. Can we make it 25 laps on what we've got in the tank? Or are we going to end up seeing that pit strategy play out just as early as stage 1?
Stage 1, one caution gets us home. Stage 2, you're home. No questions asked. So long as you fill up at the end of the stage, if you actually try and flip the stage at the end of stage 1, that doesn't work. And the reason for that is the fact that you've got 24 laps worth of gas in the tank about. So if you flip the stage and you come down before the end of the stage, you only got about 20 laps in the tank for a 25 lap stage length. You get one caution, all of a sudden you're good to go. You're back on level pegging. So in stage 1, a little bit of fuel saving is absolutely required. We've actually done very little running. If you have a look at most of the drivers in the field, very little pack running in terms of practice as well. So fuel numbers are going to be a little bit out. Worthwhile figuring that out. But one of the things I'll be thinking about early is the trade-off of track position and strategy position in the very early run. That first 5 to 10 laps is tricky because that's the Goldilocks period on the tires. The tires start to fall off somewhere around 5 to 8. In terms of the tire range. Up until that, you can run it really, really hard. And in fact, guys were setting fastest laps on lap 5 of the run. So that's a little bit tricky. I would be looking to sacrifice a touch of that strategy position to grab one spot, 100%. Not looking to sacrifice huge amounts, but you want track position. The biggest thing about Pocono is with the width of the racetrack, you can go into turn 1 full wide. You go into turn 1 full wide, it is very, very likely somebody ends up in the fence just because of the nature of that turn. So that's a decision that everyone's got to make. That's a decision everyone's got to handle with. But the thing is, the long run on Pocono, it becomes tougher and tougher and tougher to get a move done. You've got to have a huge tire offset, and the leader all of a sudden. Remember, we're big 2.5 mile racetrack, and I will harass you about that light race length because we did go to a longer racetrack this season. It's not one that you would think of. It's one that had right hand turns.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. So. But strategy position, the big thing is you definitely want the track position because it's just so much tougher to get the pass done when the tires aren't on your side. So track position is key. I think we're going to get cautions. It would surprise me if we get a green flag pit stop, is my thinking and the way that I'll be approaching the race. But the key window is probably about lap 26 to get home in that final stage. I think with 26 to go, you can get home if you do some saving. And if we're in that hole, I will absolutely come for fuel at the end of lap 26 to go and try and make it home. So,
well, we mentioned about him being a 2-time winner got his second victory last week, but first time this season, Alan Dobbs is going to capture a pole position as he'll look to go 2 in a row and go to the top of the leaderboard in terms of race victories here in the 2025 season. And it seems only fitting that the other two-time winner on the season, Kyle Holden, the two drivers that are separated by 5 points in the regular season standings coming into this afternoon, are going to share that front row. Noah Jackson, who we mentioned is fourth in the standings, going to be there on the inside of row number 2 with Trey Whitehead that you mentioned was very fast as well. Scott's going to be rolling off in that 5th position with Rylan Faccianato, Peyton Holland, Dalton McKenney, DJ Daniels, Ryan Catalano going to be your top 10. You'll see the rest of your starting lineup for this afternoon's race, and it'll be nice to see these cars out on the racetrack as well because it's a themed race here in the Pocono Mountains, as this is the sports-themed race this evening. We'll be seeing drivers out there with liveries supporting their local sports teams on their cars here tonight. We'll be highlighting those cars during the course of this event. Maybe another thing that we need to touch on here as well, Scott, we've talked about it here for the last month and a half, is no fast repair available, and this is one of those racetracks. You put a wheel wrong, it's very unlikely you're going to take a soft hit here at Pocono.
So, update on that. Server setup errors. There are unlimited fast repairs, so you can take that one off. So everyone should make it home here.
Okay.
They're just discussing how best to manage that in sim at the moment, so bear with me on that one. I'll have more update as that progresses. The tricky part is, once they're in the sim, you don't really have a way. We can have a look at it, and we can sort of go, oh, well, that car definitely was used a fast repair, so we'll know. It'll be very, very obvious to us, but it's something the driver's going to have to manage here tonight. So something that's it's going to be a gentleman's agreement. And remember, we have already had a gentleman's agreement on the season as well.
We have
to get some lap cars there. So I am confident that if anyone can do it, it's this league. And just confirmed, I just got it from Chris Subka. If you are caught using the fast repair, disqualification is the result. So because we normally wouldn't. Which is, I think that's the appropriate response.
Yep. So, it's available, but they're not allowed to use it. So, in a sense, still no fast repair available to these drivers here for this 100 lapper. That will equate to 250 miles. Making their way down the Long Pond Straight.
I'm disappointed, Seth. You had an opportunity there to making your way downtown.
But
driving fast.
I'm not walking fast.
And we're driving fast and we're checking flag bound.
You're driving fast at 80 miles per hour. I think you're going to be hitting a little bit higher than that when the green flag comes out there, buddy.
Having some fun with it though, Seth. And that's the good part. You know, we're out here to go racing, and we're gonna make the end of that race. Like I said, fuel will be critical in this first stage. Fuel will be absolutely critical.
Down through the tunnel turn there. Fastest corner here at Pocono. And then down into the corner that a lot of races have been won, a lot of races have been lost. One of the slower corners, the lowest banked area. You'll still see them be brave, go double wide, maybe 3 wide, depending on what the situation is, and look to punch that throttle down, turn for home, down this long front straightaway. Here we go, getting ready to go green in race number 10. Alan Dobbs will lead us down to the green, and the Val Green Builders 260 is underway.
Good launch from the inside lane. The outside lane didn't build any momentum. A little bit of separation up there as well means the inside's going to have the momentum on the run at turn 1. Now, we just got to keep an eye on who's good. Big thing I did want to point out is I actually really want to talk to the skill levels of Trey Whitehead and Noah Jackson over the last couple of weeks. They've run some really, really strong races. For me, victories and wins for them, not too far away.
Yeah, we've seen Jackson consistently up inside of the top 5. Trey Whitehead, a couple of races, had to work his way through traffic to get up to the front of the field, but he, around the second half of the race, is usually up there in the conversation, to your point. Toyotas have looked strong, but it's been the Chevrolets the last couple of weeks. So far, the Bowties have won the last 3 races in a row. Dobbs looking to make it 4 as he'll bring them around. Complete lap number 1 over Holden and Jackson, who are hounding.
I think this is fuel saving early on. Nobody's going to be looking to jump out of line. And this front 5 cars are all pretty much nose to tail as they're all trying to sort it out.
Saw a couple of cars there kind of jumping up a half groove through turn 1. Aero tightness still comes into play, so you're trying to run where the car in front of you is not. Get a little bit of clean air to the nose for downforce, especially down here. I think that maybe one of the biggest areas that I've heard at Pocono for downforce that you want is especially in turn 2. You want to be able to carry as much speed as possible. You don't want that back end sliding out on you and hurting your entry down for turn 3.
Yeah, 100%. Look, you can get away with a little mistake in turn 2. You can actually see Trey Whitehead actually dive to the inside to get that initial turn, and then he was happy to settle back into the groove. So he's actually going to send it on Jackson on the run into turn 1. All the bumps on the run into turn 1 in the middle of the corner. It's all about setting the car so that it rotates nicely on the bumps. Big thing you're going to see right here, somebody jumps out of lane. Well, we're going to get railroaded.
Went for the move for third, did Whitehead, going to get shifted back at least to the 5th position. Saw in the distance there as the cars were making their way into turn 1, the 3 of Johnny Williams making his way onto pit road. Unscheduled pit stop for him. Understand that he's battling bronchitis, and so under the weather. May end up seeing him call it an early night at some point. Hope that he starts feeling better there as Rylan Faccianato trying to hold off Peyton Holland. That is for the 6th position. Rylan may have gotten up into the wall there for a brief moment off of turn 2. Had to gather that race car back up. You know, we've been at racetracks where we'll see drivers go up and, you know, they'll flare the right rear quarter panel into the outside wall, and it's fine. It's just a little kiss into the outside safer barrier. Can you get away with something like that here at a track like Pocono? Just a little brush and you're still okay, good to go, up to speed?
Yeah, but it's got to be a little brush is the big key. Yeah, and you got to make sure that you don't... It's very, very easy to have heavy contacts at Pocono. You're going to see lots of slide job style moves, parking it on the apex. I think at the moment what you're seeing is a couple guys are just struggling for tires, and strategy's starting to play itself out. But the big thing you'll notice with the way you got to keep an eye on what Trey Whitehead's doing at the moment. This is what you're going to see. This is the strategy and how you race. Is that you've got to get the move done and get back in. It's really, it is a super speedway because the package on the straights, you cannot afford to get left out, hung out to dry without draft. But you've got to use the pace that you got in the car to create that advantage, right? So if you can't get the job completely and utterly done, you may lose spots as a result. So
kind of reminds me a lot of, we got our first caution of the evening. I believe the 17 of Mark Gilbert may have run into an issue. He's on pit road now. The Buffalo Bills machine, of course, the 17 door number, fashioned after the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen. As Alan Dobbs will bring us back around for our first caution of the night. So to your point earlier, this caution gets us home here in stage 1, correct?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, won't even be close now. So this will 100% get us home. But the key thing is we've run 5 laps of green flag racing at Pocono, and that is where there is a deficit in terms of the tires. Guys that look to come down and grab a fresh set of tires right now are going to get an advantage. And they should hold that advantage unless we get another caution inside the stage, but they've burned a set of tires. We've got 6 sets of tires here tonight. So a little bit of strategy, a little bit of opportunity. This is a touch early. If this caution happened 5 laps from now, whole field would pit, everyone be on tires.
Wow, it's a big hit into the inside wall for Martin Gilbert. They were 3 wide coming off of turn 1. I believe that may have been Christian Ruse that he made contact with. Couldn't identify the third car on the outside. I believe that is the 87 of Clay Sampson that's up on the top. See the 17 pushes up, and take a look at that shot into the inside wall.
Yeah.
All 4 tires up off the ground. I mentioned it. You're not going to have a soft hit at a track like Pocono with the speeds that you're carrying. There's a lot of runoff room there, off of turn 1 and off of turn 2. But more than likely, with it all being paved, you're not going to scrub off a whole lot of speed. We'll go back again right to the entrance of turn 1. That third car, I don't think on the outside line really caused anything for this. It was just a matter of everything just accordions up. It all tightens up on the corner exit.
I mean, that third car being on the outside does actually mean something. There's one car in that sandwich that knows that they're 3 wide, and that's the car that's in the middle. So he knows that he's got to give space either side of him, but every other car's not really in a position where they can look to afford to give that space, and they're not driving to that. So, you know, that's again, this comes down to the difference. An AI spotter or something that is spotting for you, it can only tell you exactly what's going on. It can't tell you run coming outside, run's going to be coming inside, you clear up 3/4 of a car length back. These sorts of information and bits and pieces, they are critical. If you say, why do we see more accidents and big accidents in sim racing? This is probably one of the biggest reasons, particularly in NASCAR, because you have to be able to read the lanes. You're in a tiny box. That box has very little visibility out of it. You can't see completely to your left and to your right. There are blind spots around your vehicle. That is the purpose of spotters all around. In fact, we don't have right-hand side mirrors in these cars as well. And you can't see the runs. And sometimes there's also a guy in your blind spot on your right side, and he's got a guy on his outside. So the thing for Gilbert there is he's driving as if he's too wide, because that's the only thing he knows. He has no clue that there's a car up on his high side. He runs it as if he's too wide. He's expecting that car in the middle to track out to the wall. That car doesn't, because that car is 3 wide. You got to read those things. You got to be using your mirror actively all the time and looking for that sort of stuff. And to be perfectly honest, in terms of real world, yes, it's harder because the level's so much higher, but the mental load on a driver in the sim and the additional bits and pieces you've got to watch out for is so much higher.
A tough break there for Mark Gilbert. We didn't really get to feature his car for very long here in this race. Buffalo Bills livery, that might be the equivalent to a pick 6 there thrown by Josh Allen. And unfortunately, it's going to be the first official retiree from the race, currently scored in 26th. Johnny Williams is still on pit road. We'll have to see if he can pick up that spot before the conclusion of this one. Believe that the top 15 drivers stayed out. 10 drivers came down pit road, the highest run of those Dylan McDonald. With only 5 green flag laps here, how much of an advantage does it gain those drivers to be able to try and fight their way up through the field? And is this a play for stage points at the end of this stage? Hope that you can pick up enough spots to get at least up into the top 10?
Everyone that's running up at the front was running very chilled out on their tires. No one was really racing anyone all that hard earlier. You know, the problem is with Pocono, tire deg tends to be quite a big factor. Next gen cars a little bit less than certainly Xfinity trucks, Arca. You tend to wear a lot more tire in those cars around here. But this package is just got a fair bit more grip. The tire's a little bit hardier, so it's definitely a bigger factor in other categories. The other thing to consider is, you know, it's a 2.5 mile racetrack. The speeds are higher. The track length's longer. So if your tire starts to wear a little bit, what is effectively 2 laps at somewhere, say like Dover, is only 1 lap here. You know, it's 50. We're into the 53s in terms of green flag pace running. So half of that's 27 seconds. Anything that's running a 27-second lap, you know, that's the amount of time it can cost you. It's anything that would cost you 3/10 at another circuit in terms of tire wear. It's costing you 6, costing you 0.8 of a second here.
Great point. So we're going to get ready to go back green here on lap number 9. Again, remember we're running to lap 25 for the conclusion of this first stage. And Alan Dobbs, last couple of weeks, has been racking up some valuable playoff points, not just in race victories, but in stage win victories, as he'll be bringing us back to green alongside of Kyle Holden. Noah Jackson, Scott Rankin, Trey Whitehead going to be your top 5 as we get ready to go back green with 25 drivers currently on the racetrack, all scored on the lead lap. 16 to go to the completion of stage 1.
Good launch by Alan Dobbs. He got out a long way out in the lead, but it was the support in that outside lane. They were just a little bit more packed up at the front, a little bit better help. Now it becomes the big thing. You got to keep an eye on those guys that did pit for tires. This lap, the next lap, they're going to be a touch slower. Every lap after that, they are going to be quicker. How soon can they get to the front is a big, big key.
Top 5 all got single filed out before even exiting out of turn 1. We're stacked up double wide from 6th place on back. One car way up the racetrack. That's Tyler Rice in the 6. He's going to lose at least 3, maybe 4 positions out of the tunnel turn as Faccionato moves to 6th. 7th goes to Peyton Holland. Still a dogfight back here in the latter half of the top 10. Some contact between Mark Gonzalez in the 8, the 27 of Jonathan Cogswell coming off a great run last week.
Here we go. Games are on at the front too. So the field, this is where the field will start to figure themselves out, start to shake out. We are too wide for the race lead. And that's going to feed a lot of dirty air back to the traffic that's in behind them. So now this next phase of the race is, can you carry the momentum off of turn 2? Can you get single filed out? Side draft becomes a big factor in these cars.
I've seen a lot of drivers there off the exit of turn 1 when they're double filed. That outside line car almost looks like it's hitting the safer barrier. Is it as close as it looks, or is there actually a little bit of wiggle space? Okay, so it's not just my eyes playing tricks. It's almost looking like I'm waiting for some smoke to come off that right rear quarter panel.
Even front right quarter panel, because the wall sort of juts out a little bit at certain points, and there's no real safer barrier jut there, so it's, you know, it's difficult. Reading, because of that white wall as well, no shadows on it because of the way the sun comes across. The sun comes from the front stretch towards the back stretch. There's no shadow up there, so it's very difficult to read the depth of the wall sometimes and how close you are to it. So
we saw 5th place on back kind of lose a bit of ground when they were double file going into turn 1 on the restart. But now with it double wide for the lead, it was double wide for 3rd. Now look how 5th place on back starting to close it up, making about an 8 and 9 car pack as maybe 3 wide for the top position. 59 of Holden gets tight through the tunnel turn. Rankin will slide by for 2nd, and he wants more. He wants the lead going down here into 3.
yeah, Carl just jumped on the radio and said, sorry guys, I got tight, not intentional. So he's driving everything he possibly can out of that racetrack. The problem is, outside line, that's the momentum, that's where you want to be. And now I get the opportunity to get railroaded. So this is the difficulty. Like I said, you've got to clear those passes. The field got by Kyle at least. Everyone raced clean, gave him the space that he needed to rejoin. And that is what good NASCAR racing's all about.
So Jackson now moves into 2nd place. Trey Whitehead now to the top side of Rankin for 3rd place. Holden after the recovery now in the 5th spot. As Rankin will tuck in line there. Rankin, one of the sports-themed race cars here tonight, the Melbourne Stars, featured on that number 61. Yeah, the cricket team. I totally didn't send an insect emoji when he mentioned cricket in the chat earlier on tonight. That was definitely the kind of cricket you were talking about, right? The chirping insect, right?
Yeah, the cricket. Yeah, 100%. You got it. You nailed it. Well done, sir. You really did your research racing into tonight. Here we go.
I'm always prepared. Little 2-car tandem, eh? Noah Jackson moves out. Trey Whitehead offers that straight lines draft going into turn 1. Jackson gets tight. Dobbs, I think, definitely did brush the wall right there, trying to give room. Almost door to door, now door to door down the straight, heading into the tunnel turn. There may have actually been a bump draft right there from the 20 to the 23, but look how tight it got both of them going through turn 2.
Yeah, he got in there real tight with no air on the nose. And he got in there deep as well. Car just, it's that initial rotation in turn 2 as well that you're looking for. Once the car rotates, it drives really well, but you got to get it to rotate. And that's the big key.
But it got Noah Jackson to the lead. First time Alan Dobbs has not been out in front in this race. Now in the 2nd position, we'll have to see how the 35 does in dirty air after having clean air to the nose for the first 13 laps of this race. Battle now for 3rd. Holden to the bottom. I think he might have gotten a little loose. Was it loose tight, or was it just tight there? Because he
a little bit
came off the corner rather low.
Like I said, I have problems with spotting that outside wall, so I came off a little bit loose and then shuffled down a little bit because I wasn't sure. Good move from Alan Dobbs. Again, he's got to get this done, though. The critical factor is he's got to get it done. So he sent it way down in. This is a slide job style move because you have to clear the pass. If you do not clear the pass, you are just going to get railroaded down the front straight.
One thing about turn 3, I mentioned it's the lower banked of the corners. It's also the widest of the 3 corners. So if you have the confidence in your race car to try and pull off a slide job like that, you do have a little bit more space to work with before you get to the outside wall. We'll keep an eye on a couple of drivers that last time by out of turn 2 pancaked the safer barrier, the 23 of Trey Whitehead and the 8 of Mark Gonzalez. They both hit the exact same spot. I think another driver just hit the wall there off of turn 1, the 77 of Patrick McQuaid. So, as you mentioned, Scott, there can be some harmless brushes here, but if you overstep that just enough, we've seen enough drivers have their races ended with toe links broken, so got to keep an eye on those drivers and the contact they make, how much contact they have.
Yeah, and it is tight for these positions at the
We've
moment.
got a
Who's
car
getting
in
the run?
trouble. There has been contact, looks like maybe with the inside wall for the 6 of Tyler Rice. A lot of damage on that left front quarter panel. Left front tire is not even rotating, and he's going to limp that thing onto pit road. See if we can find out what happened with the 6 car. Reed's been having some really good runs, and ooh, it looks like he may have had a problem off of turn 2. Contact between himself and the 38 of Dylan McDonald sends him into the safer barrier. He doesn't go completely around, keeps it going. That's why we remain under green flag conditions. That was a battle at the time for the 10th position. And I believe as we cut back, I believe he overshot his pit stall. You talked about the treachery of how slick these pit stalls are, even right there. Though, granted, when you don't have a tire rotating, as now yellow is out. May have been our Daytona winner, Chris Reese. And indeed it is. Believe that car is stalled out. Believe that's between turns 2 and 3. That's out. Now he makes his way onto pit road. So a couple of Dark Horse Mustangs having some issues here. Chris Reese bringing out our second caution of the night.
I just said his motor blew. So it might be a secondary.
It definitely did after that shot. Brushed the wall there out of the tunnel turn. Redirected the car straight to the inside wall. And heavy, heavy impact for the 62. Wow, that's a hard lick.
It is big impact. Just chatting, everyone in the top 5 just said, "Oh my god, how good the racing is."
We have definitely seen really good racing. A lot of jostling for position up here at the front of the field. We've seen it at the middle of the field as well, all the way through the top 10, top 15. Just about every position has been under contest. This yellow going to allow for more fuel saving to get to the conclusion. And ooh, are we flipping the stage, Scott?
No, we're going for stage points. I can get to the front here. Remember, you got 6 sets of tires here tonight. That next stage is going to be green the whole way through, so it may calm down a little bit. But I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Just see if I can't get a few of these guys to do something funny. If you can race your way through and you can make the fresh tires work, there is a huge benefit to fresh tires.
Doesn't look like you're alone. Looks like about maybe 8, 9, 10 drivers coming down pit lane. 13 drivers, looks like, electing to stay out. 5 of which came to pit road under the previous caution. So that would have us at 9 drivers that have not pitted at all in this race so far.
I want to say CJ Papa and DJ Daniels, I believe DJ might have been fuel only. CJ Papa did not come to the pit lane, but he was, you're right, down under that previous caution. I think that might have been also potential for damage repairs from DJ Daniels. Again, we talk about, right, if you're in a hole and DJ's not got pace today, something's wrong, he's not right where he needs to be. So he's, again, using his head and going, okay, what can I do different that makes this a little bit better for me? If he was at the tail end of the field already, good opportunity. If there was a little bit of damage on the car, that could have been an opportunity to come down and have a look at the car as well.
To your point, I believe you are correct. Fuel only on DJ Daniels. He was one of the drivers that did come down pit road under the previous caution as well, though. I believe he took a set of tires on at that point on that pit stop. But the fuel only going to gain him some track position. Looks like He will be restarting in the 14th position, being the first one off of pit road. Our top 7 have not pit yet in this race. Also add in the 10th position running Jeffrey Kleinsma and the 12th place running Rylan Faccianato. Those are the drivers that have yet to come down pit road since we went green to begin this race. And you were talking earlier on about racetrack we were at with the rights and lefts, the Chicago Street Course. Next time out, I didn't say next week, but next time out in 2 weeks' time, we'll be going to upstate New York to the Watkins Glen International Raceway for our second road course stop of the season. Drivers will have an off week next week, and we will resume racing here on the FRN channel on the 23rd of April, with the green flag flying there at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So don't be tuning in next Wednesday night. We won't be here. The Grind Cup Series drivers won't be here. They'll be gearing up, getting set for maybe a little bit more traditional road course than where we were at about a month ago.
Tricky. Still tricky. And the biggest thing about Watkins Glen as well is getting the tires up to temperature. And that thing is a wild horse to try and hang on to as you roll it up through the S's and then bouncing it over the curbs. And that's the thing, you bounce. I don't know how much road course racing you've seen, but they updated those curbs at Watkins Glen, Seth. And they are the new 3D style of curbs. And they're big, and they are lumpy. And they are, you got to attack them. You've got to attack. If you attack them slightly wrong, car is destroyed, race over.
Well, one of the big things, too, about Watkins Glen is, whether you've got a lot of road course experience or a little, normally most of your stock car racers have had reps at 2 of the road courses, that being Watkins Glen and Sonoma. And so the playing field gets a little bit more level for the road course aces. They aren't able to necessarily run away from the field like they are at other racetracks that other drivers may not be all that familiar with. So it will be interesting to see if some of the drivers that we had that were our front runners back at the Chicago Street Course, if they're going to be our front runners again in 2 weeks' time, or will we be adding some new names into the dark horse category, looking for a checkered flag? Is green flag back in the air? Lap 19 on the board. Make that lap 20 rather, 19 completed. So we've got 5 laps here in stage 1.
And it is a big clog up, and you can see it. A little bit of opportunity for a couple guys. Time to try and push themselves a little bit further forward, so they're going to try and have a crack at that.
A lot of drivers really getting tight there off turn 1's exit, drifting up to the outside wall. Mark Gonzalez now moves into the top 5 in 5th place. Clay Sampson into 6th. Patrick McQuaid's got his hands full as he slipped up off of turn 2. There's Dalton McKenney. That's Sean Lauder trying to shoot the gap up the middle, 3 wide. At number 12 machine, the University of North Carolina Dark Horse Mustang. Now he's side by side with Christian Ruse. That's for 9th, 10th position. The final 2 spots that would pay out points here in the stage. Back up to the front. Trey Whitehead looks to the bottom on Alan Dobbs going into turn 1. Not able to complete that pass.
And they're going to be stacked up once again.
Dobbs going to get turned off the nose of Trey Whitehead. Caution's going to wave.
And that'll be the stage.
Alan Dobbs tried to block the move from Trey Whitehead. Noah Jackson was pushing the 23. Dobbs not clear. I don't think he hit anything, which is a miracle in and of itself. But he lost a ton of track position, and to your point, looks like he may have lost that valuable playoff point for winning stage number 1. With it more than likely going to have this first stage ending under the caution flag. We saw Noah Jackson and Trey Whitehead do this earlier with that 2-car tandem on the straightaways, trying to make the pass on the inside line work. Noah Jackson cleared Alan Dobbs earlier on with that method, and they tried doing it again with roles reversed. Dobbs thought he had enough time to go down and cover it, and apparently did not.
Yeah. So and Alan said, I've got a clear call, and I try to block it, and Trey basically just said, he just tags the wall, but it's safer barrier, and he might be okay. But Alan basically said, I tried to block it. I got a clear call. And he said, and Trey basically the response was, I got a shove right at the point that you blocked it. Don't hate the idea to block. The thing is, the respect between these guys up at the front is so high that everyone is basically saying, hey man, we made a mistake. And there's no energy, there's no heat in it. It's like, hey man, we're racing tight. There's nothing between these race cars. And you've got to block so aggressively to hang on to the spot. You've got to push so aggressively to hang on to the spot. The respect is just being back and forth, and that's the biggest thing you're missing out on.
Yeah, there's absolutely, you could see it there. There's no malicious intent on either side. They're both in a situation where Dobbs, as you said, had the clear call, and he knows that what they were doing earlier on the previous restart, so he's trying to go down and cover it. On the flip side, we talk about momentum, and the 23 can't lift. He's got the 20 into the back of him, so everybody in a bit of a compromised position. And you mentioned about that blind spot there as well. That would be what you're talking about, that area there where the spotter says, hey, you're clear, you're trusting in what your spotter says, and they may not necessarily be all that accurate in calling that clear call.
Yeah, so there's nothing in it. There's the long and short of it is there's nothing in it. And anyway, Alan will have to get back in, check the car out, and see what's going on.
Now,
and,
do we have a confirmation that this is the race or the stage-ending caution?
Stage has been called, yeah.
Okay.
So they want to go back to green flag racing for stage number 2, which is why the whole field is coming.
Okay. Makes sense, because I was kind of wondering if we might get back green on lap 25. But Cogswell, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, all staying out here under this caution flag. They were on pit road 5 laps ago, would have only turned about maybe 1.5, 2 laps on those Goodyears in terms of green flag laps. So they elect to flip the stage, gain that track position here in preparation for stage number 2.
The tricky part, Seth, though, is for these guys is that the top 3 that stayed out here, they're not good. Remember how we're talking stage 2? If it goes green, you can just stay out the whole time. So for all of these guys that didn't pit under that caution, well, they're in a hole in terms of fuel. Then you got a couple guys that did pit under that last caution. You got myself, Ryan Cuddalo, Peyton Holland. All 3 of us did come down on that last caution, but came back for fuel only. And the reason that it's really, really important, we are now good to go to the end of the stage. We got a lap on our tires. There's no damage to them. Now we've got track position. So similar tires to, there's going to be top 5 here. As somebody did, I think it was Hubker actually just fed off into the pit lane. He wanted to go to the rear. Yeah, so, but your top 5 are all on same lap age tires. Everybody else in behind them put on fresh tires, so it's only going to be 1 lap difference.
Fuel only for the driver of the 5, giving up the 2nd position, where he would have been on the restart. The Chicago Bears livery with the HendrickCars.com sponsorship on his Chevrolet Camaro. Trey Whitehead was the winner of that first stage, his 2nd stage victory on the season. So an added playoff point headed his direction. Trey 9th in overall points coming into this one, gained 7 spots in the stands after Iowa last week from 16th up to 9th. So from just on the fringe of a playoff position, now well and truly in the playoff conversation. Still looking for that first victory, though, is driver 23, as he's going to restart, looks like back in the 8th position here for the upcoming restart. Cogswell and Roberge will be the front row. Did not come to pit road. Scott's going to be the highest of those that did come down pit lane. Looks like he went with the fuel only there on his pit stop, along with Ryan Catalano and Peyton Holland, who'll be your top 5. Then the fresh tires of Noah Jackson restarts in 6th with Trey Whitehead, Mark Gonzalez, Kyle Holden, and Patrick McQuaid. The top 10, Alan Dobbs. Not that lengthy a pit stop for the 35, but he'll restart back in the 22nd position. Plenty of time to make his way back up to the front after he spun from the race lead, bringing out the end of stage 1's caution and getting us set now for stage number 2, getting ready to run to lap 50 when the next stage points will be handed out.
Big launch for Jonathan Cogswell. Unfortunately, outside lane, Robert's got a little bit stacked up out there.
3
and
wide.
they're going to be 3 wide.
Yes,
on
we
the
are.
Turn 1.
3 wide, almost hinting 4 wide there. It's a big stack up near contact between Patrick McQuaid and Trey Whitehead on the exit of turn 1, but they all sorted out down the stretch towards turn 2.
And leading laps is going to be a killer on that fuel strategy, Seth. So it's management of what you've got available to you, because if you start leading laps, then you're going to be in a hole. But at the same time, you've got to be close to the front. You can't be the lead car. You've got to be one of the lead cars. That'll change. One caution, that all changes.
Mark Gonzalez going to swing around the outside of Peyton Holland and Ryan Catalano. Catalano now drops back to 5th. There you see the car stepping out there is Noah Jackson in the 20. And I mentioned about maybe 2 laps at most difference on the tires of those that stayed out, those that took fuel only, to those that took tires. Is now a point where the fresh tires come into play, or will there be like a lap target where we will start to see the drivers that have the slightly older tires have to give up time and give up positions to those with the fresh Goodyears?
Look, you can't just sit here and say there is no benefit. There is, but the benefit is so marginal that I don't necessarily... The tires on that run weren't actually up to temperature and pressure yet. They were still a touch cold. So, yes, it is going to mean something. What that is and what it looks like, who knows?
Riding on board with Mark Gonzalez as he hunts second. And keep an eye on the dash there. Up to 5th gear, going into turn 1. Drops it down to 4th gear. Gonna be interested to see if we follow this 8 all the way around the racetrack. Just how low do we get in terms of a gear over into turn 3?
Only back to 4th. Tire wear is not enough to make 3rd gear an option.
Look at the wheel play right there, trying to gather the race car up, back end wanting to step out. You can audibly hear those tires squealing here through the low bank turn 3, fighting for grip, looking for that bite off the corner to get the momentum down the front straightaway. This driver's working for every single lap as battle is on for the lead heading into turn 1. Well, it was a battle.
The big thing is, Cogswell's struggling just a little bit for pointing to the corners. He might be driving the entries a touch. So that's definitely something you got to watch, keep an eye on, and just make sure that, he's in a good spot. But there is some tire advantage that comes from leading laps. That fresh out of the nose, car drives a lot better. It doesn't drive so well in the thickness of the traffic. So you got to judge when is the right time to start to press on. You definitely want to be able to go as early. The earlier you can go means the more fuel saving you would have done. And there's a lot of guys that are fuel saving right now. So either we get a caution and fuel's not an issue, or we go green the whole way. And the racing is so tight, and I just don't know.
Well, we were looking back at Chris Robert, who's now under fire from DJ Daniels. Saw him have a little bit of trouble on the restart. Stacked everybody up. He's got them stacked up now from about 9th place on back. There's nearly a full second from 8th back to 9th position as they currently run. DJ Daniels has finally cleared the 9, as has Clay Sampson. They'll look to now run down this top 8 that, for the most part, are strung out single file. Kyle Holden side by side with Peyton Holland. That would right now be for the 5th position as he will slide on by, take that spot. Through turn 3, Holland looking for the crossover here though on the exit. Pulls right up alongside the door, looking for that valuable side draft. Try and get the momentum down here into turn 1.
Again, thinking about, you've got to pick some of these cars off, but when you pick them off is the big key. Because you still got to have yourself a great driving hot rod, and we saw how much everyone started to get stacked up as the longer the run went on. Clear air is crucial. It allows you to save tires, but clear air is going to kill your fuel numbers. And that's what the whole field is dealing with at the moment.
Cut back for a brief moment there to the number 25 Pepsi Chevrolet of Rylan Faccianato. He had a big slide off of turn 1, gathered it back up. Chris Hubka, it's like he made a pit stop 3 laps ago, unscheduled, and he has lost a lap as a result. He's back out on the racetrack as we follow Kyle Holden now. He's been in the wall a couple of times last 3 laps. Little brushes, but still holding down the 4th position and hunting to get back up into the podium. And, you know, interesting to note, I mentioned about the fact that this is a racetrack that, you know, seems to go hand in hand with the word strategy. And we saw some drivers make plays in terms of strategy for stage points near the conclusion of stage 1. This is a racetrack, depending on what your interval is to the leader, where you can come down, you can make a pit stop, you can return to the track, and you would still be on the lead lap when the stage caution flies. Do you think that there's any possibility that we would see anybody try that, to try and flip stage 2, not necessarily go for the points, but try and get that track position for the start of stage 3?
Yeah, there's an advantage to it, but you've got to be close enough to the leader. The pit stop times and the pit stop cycle is if you're not within about 5 seconds of the race leader, you will actually fall off the lead lap. So you've got to play that game as well. You know, it's not just as simple as going, oh yeah, it's definitely this, it's definitely that. You're still going to have pace. You've still got to be somewhere near the point. So it's not cut and dry, Seth. As much as I'd love to sit down and say you've definitely got to do this, it's absolutely not. You've got to drive. You've got to save some tire in this early running here, but you've also got to drive your race car hard enough to give yourself options. And options is, I think, the word of the day.
Alan Dobbs on the move after losing the race lead, bringing out the stage-ending caution. Restarted 22nd. He is now about to crack back into the top 10 as he looks to the inside of Clay Sampson. Some contact up ahead of them. That was a couple of Toyotas. Dylan McDonald in the 38. The 92 of Ryan Catalano in a battle for the 7th position, and things got really tight between the two of them coming off of turn number 3. He's got them all stacked up from 7th place back to around the 15th position.
Yeah, and now there's a little breakaway formed in the pack as well. Top 6 have now cleared themselves out, and they will start to disappear down the road as much as they possibly can. So it's going a little bit this way, it's going a little bit that way. It's season soars as the racing does. You got your comers and you got your goers, and right now that top 6, they are the comers, but have they saved enough fuel? Have they saved enough tire? Will be the big key.
It's almost kind
of
like
the more this single files out, the less caution chance there is here, Seth, as well. Worthwhile noting.
It's kind of like a super speedway type thing, right? It's got somebody really low there on the front straightaway. Tell who that was. That might have been the 9 of Chris Roberge. But going back to what I was going to ask, like in terms of a super speedway, you know, when you end up getting a few cars all single filed out, are able to have that good straight line draft, you'll start to see them be able to break away. Now here on these long straightaways, opportunity for that. But in the corners, you know, when you're trying to get the clean air to the nose, you don't necessarily want to run in the exact same groove as the driver in front of you. Is there anything in the corners that you can do to try and keep the draft tight, keep that momentum going, to keep the gap between you and whatever pack you're trying to get away from, or are you just relying on that type of a strategy once you get to the straights?
You can. Remember, we've already talked about late apexes being a big thing here with just the style of the corners, so momentum. But the other thing is, if you know that you're not going to have all that air on the nose in the middle of the corner, well, the other side of that coin is that you've got to find that turn in the car somewhere, and sometimes it is diving it down. But change your lineup. Maybe it's a shallow entry to a middle to pushing exit, and you don't carry the momentum up, but you use the draft of the cars ahead. If I'm the last car in the queue, that's generally one of the better ways that I can go about doing that. If I'm not near the point, though, and my job is to push the lead car in the pack, I'm looking to try and carry some momentum onto the straightaway so I can get connected nice and early as soon as we come onto the straightaway, basically.
Saw a couple puffs of smoke right there. Exiting out of turn 2, race leader Scott Rankin. Third place, Kyle Holden. Little contact maybe with the right rear quarter panels. We don't go to Darlington until middle of May, but maybe the moniker tonight is going to be the Pocono stripe, as quite a number of drivers have drifted up there and maybe laid a little paint down on the safer barrier on the exit of any of these 3 corners.
Very easy to do as well. It is very, very easy to get up there and touch. Remember, you got your safer barriers very fast. And picking the spot, because remember, if you have a look at the turn 2 wall, where the safer barrier juts out, it's right as you crest the little bump that's at the top of turn 2. And it's very difficult to pick out because it's right in shadow most of the time as well. So turn 1 is clear on sun. There's a little jut in the safer barrier as you crest a little hill. And have a look at Dobbs. Picks off another one.
Now into the 7th position. Give a little assist to DJ Daniels, who gave him a good push there. Down the straightaway between 2 and 3. Got him clear on the 38 of Dylan McDonald. And just a couple cars away from cracking back up into the top 5. That just shows the raw speed that the 35 car's got. He's been able to make this kind of ground up in traffic. Field been relatively spread out. A couple of updates. We end up seeing the 9 of Chris Roberish make his way onto pit road. He was indeed the car that we saw really low on the front straightaway a couple of laps ago, and he made his way to pit road on the following lap. He has returned to the racetrack. He's 2 laps down. Chris Hubka, we documented, is 1 lap down. Clay Sampson has just made his way to the garage area, and he is going to be one of a half dozen drivers that so far will not reach the conclusion. You can also add to that list Clifford Corveau, Tyler Rice, Chris Reese, Mark Gilbert, and Johnny Williams. So they don't call this the tricky triangle for nothing. We're not even to the conclusion of stage 2, and already we've got a number of drivers that are not going to see the checkered flag.
Yeah, and strategy's starting to become... Normally, so based upon how this race has run thus far tonight, we would have seen a caution by now. But we haven't seen that. And now that starts to play because time is running out. We got ourselves about 12 laps from here to the end of the stage. The problem with that, I can tell you, I've only got 10 laps of gas.
So, oh boy. I thought you said you could make it.
You could. Unfortunately, the stage end came a touch earlier than anyone would have liked.
That's a good point. It was about, what, 3 laps sooner than what it was originally scheduled to end at, so yeah, that might make things very interesting here. Obviously, one would assume caution would get you guys to the end, but feels really spread out right now. Might make things a little bit juicy in terms of what the strategy is. And yeah, is Pocono a track you can save enough at? I know that you're obviously your lap times, I'm looking right now, the entire field's lap times, they're trending about 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second slower than the fastest laps they've laid down, but you got these long straightaways here as well. Is there any opportunity to be able to save gas, be able to get yourself to the end of this stage, lacking 2 laps as you alluded to?
There is. You can lift out on the straightaway. When you get up to that car that's ahead of you, you just lift out. So you can lift out. You can clutch on the way into the corners. There's a lot that you can really do, but the biggest thing is you got to find yourself some drafting buddies.
One driver we might want to keep an eye on here if we end up seeing drivers feel they cannot make it to the end of the stage and dive onto pit road will be the 13 of CJ Papa. Why? Well, he actually pitted at the 1 to green. He is currently scored 1 lap better on fuel than everybody else, and he might be able to take some advantage of drivers if they come to pit lane, as we got some contact there between the 96 DJ Daniels, 38 of Dylan McDonald. Don will tuck in behind the 96 down the straightaway. Just a little nudge. They both kept it going. Pretty aggressive little pack of 5 here. You got Sean Lauder there in the 12. Jonathan Cogswell, who we saw lead us to the green to start stage number 2. He has since faded back to 9th. Trey Whitehead currently in the 10th position, our Stage 1 winner. This is where the final playoff, or not playoff, I'm sorry, final stage points would be paid out at this point in time. Long ways back to 11th place, which currently is Dalton McKenney. A few drivers here that we've talked about that have been very consistent this season, at least struggling in the early going. Patrick McQuaid in the 77, currently back in the 15th position. We've talked about the Patrick McQuaid fan club that we have in our YouTube chat every Wednesday night. Patrick coming into this one with 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s. That is the most top 10s on the season of any driver in these first 9 races. And he's going to have to find a little something here, it seems, on the long run if he's going to net a 9th finish in the top 10 here at Pocono.
Yeah, he's actually really, really happy with the way that his season's going. He's driving the best. He's working on a few different things in terms of driving the race car. Little bits and pieces he's adjusting. So one of the things that I was talking to him about was steering ratios, when to use them and why. So he's working on that at the moment. Little technical things that you can certainly work on as a driver to improve your game. And yeah, he's definitely working on them. There is a lot of improvement that's come out of him. So very, very happy with the way that he's moving at the moment. The next thing, the big thing in terms of a driver's progression on iRacing, a very, very common pathway that you see, is you have 2 styles of driver. You have a driver that's great at saving tires, great at keeping a race car. It's very tough to teach them to go faster. What is easier to do is take a fast driver that can run lap times but destroys tires, and you teach him to save tires, save fuel, get the race car to finish lines. So it's a lot more difficult to teach talent. But the big thing for Patrick McQuaid is the talent's starting to come. If he can just find a way to just lift that pace a fraction, he'll be very, very good, and he'll look in good stead. And it's coming. The last time that we saw him, he's improved massively already. So very happy with how things are looking for Pat.
Another driver that's just on the outside of the top 10 has been very consistent this season. 11th place running Dalton McKenney. Now, for Patrick McQuaid, it's been the finishes. It looks like, yeah, we've got the 46 coming to pit road here. So this may be a little strategy play now for Dalton McKenney. I was going to mention, while Patrick McQuaid's got the statistics, but not necessarily the stage points, on the flip side, McKenney's not necessarily got the statistics, but he's got the stage points that have him currently up 6th in overall standings, 55 stage points in the first 9 races for driver 46. He's had 3 finishes inside of the top 10, 1 finish inside of the top 5, but a lot of those finishes outside the top 10 have been top 15s, which pay out some pretty good points as well if you can finish there consistently week after week after week. That's why we see him up in the top 10 in points.
I think the big thing for Dalton, though, is if you take some of those races and you adjust them and move them up into a top 10, and we're not talking about a huge gain, right? We're talking about a little bit of a gain to move him up into that next echelon, and you know, he'd be a big winner. But that's not the case. So, you know, he's great at racing the car early, and that's good. Next thing for him is he's got to start to transition that. Pit stops are coming. I just don't know that there's going to be someone who makes it on fuel. We've seen that already this season. I just don't know how many can actually do it.
Christian Ruse, Peyton Holland diving onto pit lane. Ruse was in the 12th position before he made the dive. Peyton Holland, I believe, was in 13th or 14th, so a couple of drivers just outside of the top 10. Maybe trying to take advantage of some fresh tires on the outlap to get them those couple of positions needed to finish this stage inside of the top 10. Here come the top 2, Holden in, Noah Jackson right behind.
Well, I thought they were going to make it on fuel, and they couldn't, so that changes things a lot.
There's a bunch of others coming down right behind them. Alan Dobbs, DJ Daniels, Dylan McDonald, Trey Whitehead, Sean Lauder, Jonathan Cogswell, Ryan Catalano, Jeffrey Kleinsma, Matt Metler, Patrick McQuaid, all on pit road this previous lap.
So the strategy games are going to kick in from here, Seth.
Going to be 4 to go.
Should have started saving
another. By.
Yeah, this is I can make it, but it's a big ask. It's the similar sort of situation that we've already had.
The only difference is, you know, the last time that we saw you pull off the fuel strategy to be able to get a stage victory, it wasn't as nearly as long a racetrack as this one. not only got to
Big problem.
account for having the fuel to be able to get to the stage caution, but then have enough under pacing to get back around to pit road.
You're 100% right. That is a big, big problem. That's we'll kick it into overdrive on the fuel save. I think we can make it work. We've just saved a large chunk more fuel, so look, we can make it work, but we're going to be in a bad position come the next stage. It will be the only thing.
3 drivers currently trying to make it to the conclusion of stage 2, and what they've got in the tank: Scott Rankin, Mark Gonzalez, Rylan Faccianato, Sean Lauder. Looks like he may end up cycling up to 4th position off of the pit stop cycle. I believe he went with fuel only. Christian Ruse did the same. He is going to cycle to 5th. Dalton McKenney would have been 6th, but he's about to be overtaken by the fresh tires of Noah Jackson. Dylan McDonald, DJ Daniels, Alan Dobbs, all on fresh tires as well. Currently the top 10. We're looking at 5th on back to about 9th right now. Some good fighting for some stage points here at the conclusion.
Have a look at the cars that are trying to do it too on the fuel strategy. Gonzalez is in a great spot. Gonzalez has had a lot of guys punching the hole in the air for him in a long portion of that stage. So he's actually in a really, really good spot to be able to make this. So swings and roundabouts, Seth. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Interesting when you kind of look at the drivers that are utilizing this strategy as well. None of them, let alone inside the top 10 in points, none of them inside of the top 20 in the point standings. Mark Gonzalez is 23rd, Rylan Faccianato 24th, and Scott, I believe you are 25th. So yeah, drivers outside the top 20 looking for those valuable stage points, get themselves closer into a playoff position. Is now lead exchange. Mark Gonzalez moves on by. About 1.5 laps remaining here till that stage yellow will fly. Long ways back to Rylan Faccianato in the 25 car. It's about 20 seconds behind this battle amongst the top 2.
This is tough, because this is a whole bunch of cars that want their lap back. They're off the lead lap right now, and they want to be back on that lead lap.
Great point. Get the lucky dog. Great, you're back on the lead lap, but you have to start tail end of the field. If you're on the lead lap when the stage caution comes out, then you're able to have an opportunity to gain track position depending on what your strategy might be under that stage yellow. Lap 50 on the board. Mark Gonzalez got to make it around one more time. Looking for his first stage victory in the 2025 season, as tries to give as much room as possible, brushes the wall there off of turn 1. Looks like Sean Lauder is going to hang on for 4th place. That battle 5th place on back is going to be interesting though, as Gonzalez coasts it through turn 2. One more corner, 2 more straights left to go before he'll be coming around, completing lap 50 and picking up the second stage here at Pocono in the Val Green Builders 260. Green and white checkered flag in the air, immediately turns the engine off. Rankin will bring it home in 2nd. Long ways back to Rylan Faccianato, who looks like he may be coasting it through turn 3, just trying to nurse it back to the start finish line. He actually might be out of fuel. I think he's coming. Well, pit road's closed. I think he was thinking about coming down pit road, but he will cross the line. He'll get 3rd. Sean Lauder, he'll get 4th, and then Christian Ruse will cross the line in 5th, followed by Dobbs, Daniels, McKenney, Jackson, and McDonald. Who'd you say was out?
Just heard him. Faccianato. Faccianato's out of gas.
Okay, I thought he might be.
Oh, Kyle Holden off the lead lap. So he got a speeding. He got a speeding on entry.
You are correct. Wow. And he is not in line for the lucky dog neither. CJ Papa, 17th, is the first car 1 lap down. See, to your point, yeah. Kyle Holden going to have to take a wave around to get back on the lead lap here. So our top two in points both have had a little bit of controversy to have to try and combat. Dobbs spinning from the lead, Holden with a speeding penalty on the round of green flag pit stops just before the conclusion of stage number 2. But a Toyota and Trey Whitehead win stage 1. Chevrolet and Mark Gonzalez win stage number 2. Halfway through tonight's race here from Pocono, gearing up for the third and final stage, which we will bring to you right after this commercial break. We welcome you back here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of the 10th race of the 2025 season for the ESports Oval League's Grind Cup Series here in the Pocono Mountains for the Val Green Builders 260 at Pocono Raceway. We just concluded stage number 2, stage 3, the final stage, the final 50 laps ready to be run to see who's going to capture the checkered flag. Reminder to everybody, we are off next week. Season will resume in 2 weeks' time when we will be at our second road course stop of the season, Watkins Glen International, April 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The green flag will fly. Themed race here tonight with sports teams represented on numerous cards throughout the field. We've been showcasing them during the course of this event. One of them going to be starting on the outside of the front row there. We're in Pennsylvania, so of course the Pittsburgh Steelers have to be represented in some way there on the 92 of Ryan Catalano. And we're not that far away from our next themed race, May 14th. We're going to be at the track that has too many names, Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. It's Darlington, as we will be having Throwback Weekend there, and that'll be on May 14th, so just a little over a month away. Sure to join us for that one. We got Watkins Glen, Bristol, and the high banks of Talladega in between now and then.
And Seth, I'll throw the pun of the night to you. If you run on a football paint scheme, does that mean you can use it for Throwback Week?
Only if it's a lateral. You know, it's actually funny because I play Fortnite with a British guy, and every time that we end up calling soccer, he's like, no, that's football, and your guy's version is egg ball.
Egg ball, so that's a new one. I hadn't heard that one before.
Yep, so
I like that.
So I've almost adopted the term egg ball, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. I'm too Americanized.
Here we go, Seth. This is an interesting one. Fuel's going to be a big factor for this one. You can't quite make the halfway. So get a good launch, get yourself in a rhythm, save the tires. That one went green the whole way. So now we got a little bit of a picture of who's good on the long run on their tires, who's a little bit bad on the long run on their tires. Think about Alan Dobbs. He had to spend the entirety of stage number 2 driving himself into a position to be relevant for stage 3. Trey Whitehead had pace early, won stage number 1. What's he going to do in stage number 3? And don't forget, Mark Gonzalez made a mistake in his pit stop, won stage 2, now he's deep in the field.
Boy, right there, I think that was Peyton Holland, went down all the way below that dotted yellow line. It's rough down there. That car was bouncing as he comes back up onto the racing surface itself. And, you know, to your point as well, what will we see in terms of strategy here? We've had 4 cautions here tonight, but only 2 of them have been for cause. The other 2 have been staged yellows, so we've gotten the field spread out pretty well. We've had some good long green flag racing, great battles all the way through the field. We talked about at the beginning of the night, pit road at this racetrack more often than not plays just as much a factor, if not more so, into the outcome of who's going to be taking the checkered flag. We could be gearing up for that kind of a scenario here this evening.
Yeah, and have a look at the jockeying for track position, because you don't want to be jockeying for track position in 10 laps time. Caution comes and you want to jump on a fresh tires. Well, you've got 3 sets left to get you through to the flag. Well, you want to be able to take that. You don't want to have to go, well, I've got to go for track position on this next stint. I've got to save a bank of tires, you know. You want to press out, and you want to be able to go for it now. I would expect to see a lot of hard racing at the front end of this stage, and then it's going to calm down a little bit if we get in the middle. You may see an early caution again.
A couple of drivers we haven't really talked that much about find themselves up inside of the top 10 now with that said strategy, giving them the track position they needed here for this 3rd and final stage. But Matt Metler in the 31 right now in a dogfight for the 4th, 5th position. You got DJ Daniels and Alan Dobbs in that mix. We mentioned Sean Lauder was able to cycle his way up for some valuable stage points, finishing in the top 5. He's up top there in that 12 machine. Dylan McDonald not too far back there in the 9th place also. So a couple of drivers been able to turn their fortunes in running 10th to 15th for most of the race, and now finding themselves up here when it matters, second half of this race, the home stretch to the finish, up inside of the top 10.
Yeah, have a look at the pack. There was actually a little bit of banter on the in-race radio of a few guys saying, hey, we actually got to work together. Those lead guys are starting to stretch out a little bit. So that's pretty normal. That's bog standard for Pocono. As soon as you start to hear about a little bit of a break in the pack, we need to get single filed out. Here we go. That's going to be a caution.
Into the inside wall. Another car up ahead in trouble. That's Christian Ruse in the 14. Contact was made off of turn 3. The 46 bounced off the inside wall. I'm not necessarily certain how the contact ensued between the 14 car of Roots, and I believe the 31 of Matt Metler may have also been involved in that.
Yeah, I'm seeing Metler, Gonzalez, and McKenney popping up on that one, which is tough. You know, Mark Gonzalez wins stage 2 and then, you know, makes a small mistake in the pit lane and a small mistake in the software and goes to the rear. So that's huge for his night. Have a look at them all.
There you saw the 8 Mark Gonzalez, as you alluded to, getting contact with that. Looked like a bunch of drivers really struggling off that corner. Hard to tell there about the 20 of Noah Jackson, because he may not have made initial contact there coming out of 3 with the 14, but then after the contact between Bruce and McKenney, he then gets in the back of the 14, trying to gather it back up. Matt Metler nowhere to go as he's trapped on the outside line there. Don't know if we've got an aerial view or not. Let's take a look and see here if there is contact with the 20 car. Nope, not on the initial. But there is on the secondary.
So the caution's been put at fault on the 14, and you can see that aerial shot you just displayed actually displayed it really, really well. It's the reason it's on the 14 is because he's made a significant movement to the left. So, and see, he's avoided, and then he's made too much of a room. There was enough room for them there to go through 3 wide, and I agree with that call.
This caution benefits Kyle Holden. Had to take the wave around there under the last yellow flag, finding himself second car 1 lap down at the time that the caution flew to end stage 2. And now he'll be able to come down pit road. He'll be able to take on a set of tires on the lead lap. So the driver that started on the outside of the front row. We'll see if he's able to make forward progress now. He was, I believe, in the 15th position at the time that this yellow flag came out. Granted, he passed a couple of cars that were in that wreck in doing so. Chris Hupka gets the free pass here. He'll now be back on the lead lap as well. Peyton Holland lost a couple of laps during that green flag run. We mentioned his adventure on the very bumpy apron here down the Long Pond straightaway. And Matt Mettler looks like he's had an extended stay on pit road after the contact he sustained in our most recent wreck. Currently 1 lap down and still repairs being made on his Toyota.
So Kyle Holden will take the opportunity there to jump into pit lane because you're right, he did have to take the wave by. So he's been on those tires for about 10 laps. So great opportunity for him to take a fresh set of tires. He didn't have the opportunity to take. I think critically for Kyle, what's he burned? It said he started on 1 at the end of stage 1, 1 just before the end of stage 2. So that will leave him with 2 sets of tires remaining for the rest of the race. I'm just taking a quick look. Chris Roberge and I think Sean Lauder were the other 2 drivers that came to the lane under that caution right there. So that's actually quite interesting because their advantage will come to them, but they're going to spend those first few laps on icy cold tires. Tires not up to temperature, tires not up to pressure. Car's a little bit tricky to drive through that stage. But once they come up to temperature, up to pressure, they will have better grip and they will be able to start picking cars off. The tricky factor for those guys is if there is brakes in the pack, they are in a little bit of trouble. That's where they're going to work a lot harder. Whilst ever the packs are up nice and close together, pick one car off, pick one car off, pick one car off, keep moving towards the front. If there's brakes in the pack, they've got to outpace the pack ahead and bring themselves back up. So it'll be critical to pick off a few spots, 100%. But at the same time, the biggest thing that they can all do is make sure that they're set on the long run, keep themselves in it. Watching another couple cars come out of the pit lane as well, CJ Papa, Christian Ruse, Mark Gonzalez, all taking damage repair there, Seth.
So we started this race with 6 sets of tires, the tires that start the race, and then 5 sets on pit road. Where are we at in terms of sets of Goodyears left, and how many of those sets do you foresee being used between now and the end of the race?
I think most people are going to finish this race today with at least 1 set left over. What's going to happen at the moment is the bulk of the field will have 3 sets of tires left available to them. Some guys may have taken an extra set here or there, and evened out somewhere. So that's worthwhile keeping half an eye on. I would say Kyle Holden's down on a set of tires at the moment, but he should be able to make good hay with that set of tires. The tricky part is we're targeting about lap 26, lap 25, 26 to get home for a pit stop. That's about 15, 16 laps from now. Holden could go lots further into the race and make that. So we need a full cycle to go. So he can go to lap 80, 85, 86 from here. The rest of the field cannot.
And that's all dependent on this race running green to the end. A couple of Camrys going to be bringing us to green. Ford, Chevy, Toyota, the rest of the top 5. Alan Dobbs, who led a majority of the first stage before finding problems near the end of that said stage, has found his way up into the top 5, restarting in 4th. Trey Whitehead, stage 1 winner, right behind him in 6th. As pace car dives to pit road, Scott Rankin, the control car through the Geico restart zone, gets us back under the green. 40 laps remaining here at Pocono.
I think we're going to be 3 wide for that P2 when we get down to hit at turn 1. Catalano's got the nose out ahead. But Alan Dobbs was looking to try and get to his outside, and that was... If he could have got there, he could have got around. That changes things. He's in a really, really strong spot at this point in time.
And now things really stacked up from that second position on back. Noah Jackson stepping out of line for unofficially 6th. Cogswell side by side for 3rd with Dobbs. Slides up the track. Noah Jackson overcorrects in the middle of the field. Everyone scatters to avoid. He does grab a gear, keep it going. Great save and great job by everybody to give him the room necessary. That could have easily been a multi-car wreck, and it was just a solo car incident with little to no contact.
Yeah. How that in the middle of the field?
Yeah.
That should have been a big
sixth
wreck.
position.
That should have taken a good 3 or 4 cars. But I don't think did anyone get involved in that?
I don't. We're gonna find out. But I mean, especially with the fact that car redirected 3 times. It got loose off the corner, was headed for the outside wall. He then spun it almost to the inside, gathered it back up again. It overcorrected back to the outside wall. So that was going 3 different directions.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Wow.
No! 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 That's talent.
That's
skill.
Crazy. That angle may not have necessarily shown exactly what it was. The aerial view will definitely give an idea. Watch this.
I think Dalton McKenney was behind it. So
right here,
that might be a shit worse.
Right here, wrecked. Right there, wrecked. Everyone avoids. Nice little 360. And keep on going.
Might be time for a change of tires after that.
That's the only detriment, right? Track position lost, down a set of tires. I think based off of what the other alternatives are, that he'll be fine with that.
No, we need to get a shot from somebody who was just in behind that. You got to try and find one. Because this is it's taken a while, and Seth, you'd know this because you were around series that we've talked and commentated on for Chris Hubka before. But one of the big things early on is just figuring everyone out. Everyone's got to that stage now where the racing's super respectful. Everyone's aggressive, but the aggressiveness is appreciated because it makes the racing better.
No, I think the guy that got saved by the last caution might be the one to go on board with here. That would be the 59 of Kyle Holden. Let's see what he saw.
But look at the space everyone gave him.
Yeah.
That's what it come down to. Everyone saw it happening early and gave him room.
25 might give us a good view as well, right from the front of Rylan Faccianato.
Beautiful.
You heard him out of the gas, waiting to see what was going to happen. With the 20 going to gather it up? Was he going to redirect? Nobody came flying into that wreck. Nobody slammed on the brakes either. Just made sure they maintained a safe amount of speed to get through. And I mentioned about how this racetrack is wide, so there's plenty of option to be able to give space to that spinning out car. And like I said, that car was wrecked 3 times. Like that car should have been,
oh my god,
probably like hood up on the windshield, driving back to the pits, if even under power. Able not only to have a tremendous save, but had all the space in the world with everybody able to split him on the top and on the bottom. And Noah Jackson still got a shot here at parking that 20 car in victory lane, because that thing is still in one piece.
I mean, who knows? Being on those fresh set of tires might be a big win for him.
We've seen that before too, where drivers will have something happen, they lose the track position, but then they find themselves in a situation 20, 30, 40 laps later where, well, maybe that didn't hurt me so badly. It got me off sequence from everybody else, and now I got myself up here in the top 5 with a shot at this thing. And we still got a ways to go here as well. I mean, it takes about a little over 50 seconds to turn a lap here at the Pocono Raceway. And we're going to be going back green on lap 65, so just around 36 laps to go. Still a lot of racing left. We've seen drivers be able to cut their way through the field, be able to gain track position lost, and I believe we still are not in the window to be able to make it the rest of the way. What are we looking at for a target lap with a caution coming out?
About 75.
So with 25
about
to go.
25.
Okay.
Yeah. 26 you can make it, but you'll need to save. But 25 should be doable. But it's got to be the end of 75, start of 76 is confirmed making it. Any earlier than that. So if you come at the start of 75, you're in a little bit of trouble.
So lights out on the pace car, and we're going to get ready to go back green flag racing. Want to remind everybody, tomorrow night it is the start of the final round of the playoffs for Season 64 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Last week, final elimination race saw our final 4 in Josh Metallic, Donnie Garrett, Grant Wesley, and Dunn LaPrade. A couple of former champions, a couple of first title hopefuls. Get ready to do battle in the first of 2 races in the final round of the playoffs tomorrow night, beginning at Talladega Super Speedway. That'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody else, they're just looking to end out the season with a checkered flag, a lot of different agendas, and it sets us up for the final race of the season next week. Be sure to join us for that one as we get ready to wrap up tonight's race here from Pocono for the Grind Cup Series. Green flag back in the air here. Rankin, great restart, clears the top 2 that look like they're gonna be double wide for second. DJ Daniels pulls up alongside the top of the 92 of Catalano, heading into the first corner.
Yeah, that he did. Remember, we're going to talk about momentum coming out the other side, so it'll be tricky to see who's able to get it. It's going to be a crossover move. They will be 3 wide for P number 2, and this will be critical to the race.
Stalled out did the 96 and the 92. Alan Dobbs with the run off of turn 1 down the long pond straight, takes that momentum. He'll get Catalano for 3rd. Now side by side with Daniels for the 2nd position as 3 wide, tight off of the tunnel turn. That was Jonathan Cogswell in a compromised position. He backs out but pays the price, drops 3 positions as they make their way through 3. Dobbs now gonna try and clear up. He'll take P2.
Got him. He got the crossover. And the big thing will be, does DJ support him? And they're going to connect up and start to run it back down the front straight away. So it means this lead group's not going to get broken, and that's the big thing from DJ. He had an opportunity there to fight for that, fight for a little bit of track position, but he went, if we fight for second, it's over. That car ahead is gone. And that's a big, big race deciding move. I cannot tell you how important that is.
Kyle Holden has now made his way up into the 7th position behind Jonathan Cogswell. Rylan Faccianato just behind him in the 25. Remember, he had an unscheduled pit stop back in stage 1, and he now has found back track position that he lost in the early stages. And interesting what a difference there can be between the start of the race to a finish of a race. Scott, you observed the fact that DJ Daniels, he was struggling in the early going. We saw him back outside of the top 10, just barely fighting inside of the top 15. Now he's up here on the podium, hounding for 2nd place.
Yeah, smart strategy, positioning himself. He's not had a clean night. He's had an average night. Something else that's worthwhile talking about is, remember how we talked all the way back at the end of qualifying, the fact that the track had changed. Well, the track has swung more as this race has gone on. Sim time at the moment, after 5:30 p.m., we're closing in on 6 p.m., so there is less and less heat going into this race surface. It has cooled off a long way.
To your point, 4 out of the top 5 just ran their fastest lap of the race that last time by.
Oh, so it's coming to them. It's coming to the drivers. And again, smart. Remember that back end of the first stage where everyone was chopping and grinding and bumping and trying to build those runs and give the momentum to drivers they wanted to work with? You're going to see that again. Decision-making time. Who are you working with? Who are you abandoning? And that's a big key.
Dobbs with the run, looking for the lead, trying to get back to the point, looking for his 3rd win on the season, 2nd in a row. He'll pull off the slide job. Rankin gets the wall there off of turn 1. Here comes DJ Daniels now alongside for 2nd. Whitehead now looks for the freight train. He peeks to the bottom as well, down the tunnel turn, down the long pond stretch, heading into the tunnel turn. And Daniels will get
tight
2nd.
Racing by that whole group. He did. Got a little bit tight. It was air dumped on his right side as they went through the tunnel turn. So he got tight. And it's push come to shove. Remember what I talked about track position? It is all about track position right now. And you're going to see this ratchet up another notch.
All about track position, kind of that point that we talk about in super speedway racing, the setup for the pit stop. You gain 1-2 positions on the racetrack. It could translate to a bunch of track position if you execute a masterful green flag pit stop here, which we will see if we don't have a caution between now and the end of this race. We're getting around that delta you were talking about. We're about 6 laps removed from that window being open to make it the rest of the way. And with that being said, I would assume that we're going to see everybody take on tires at least 100%. Right sides on the pit stop. With the amount of time you got to spend there for a pit stop, Does that call into question around the time we would see that final pit stop take place, or are we running it until the fuel tank is dry?
Depends. There is definitely a benefit to tires right now, but you said, Seth, these guys have run their fastest laps so far today. So the tires are definitely there and available to still be driven extremely hard. It's just whether or not these guys can hook it up, can stand on the gas, can work together a little bit. Blocking game's gonna start to happen too.
DJ Daniels now gonna go to the point. Dobbs looks to the inside. They'll carry this side-by-side down into the tunnel turn. Advantage to the 35, slides up, clears. He'll go back to the point. You know, up until about 5 laps ago, the fastest lap we had was a low 53. A half dozen drivers now in the last 3 laps have been able to hit the high 52s. The speed picking up here, and that might make them even more anxious to try and come to pit road, try to utilize that undercut, if you will. The only question I have about that is, while you would gain on the undercut in terms of lap time, how prevalent is it to stay in the draft? How much could you lose in single car speed if you don't have a drafting partner on those fresh tires?
Yeah, you need a drafting buddy. With just the pace, how much the pace is ratcheted up right now, you gotta have a drafting buddy. That is the reason that the pace has actually come up at the front, is that everyone's really working together at the moment. So there were 3 cars, nose to tail, nose to tail, nose to tail, but then you had the concertina effect. You picked up a lot of tow, and from the cars that were in further behind them, and then that translated, because the cars at the front aren't getting the shoes, the big impact. It's the same thing, you know, that concertina effect. You're 3 cars back off the guys that are bump drafting. You'll run faster than them as you close up to them. But once you get there, you'll stall out.
Rylan Faccianato, he's had his hands full with that Pepsi Chevrolet here tonight. Had a big save earlier on off of turn 1. Again, a big save, this time off of turn 2. As he was able to take advantage of Ryan Catalano. Moved by him for the 6th position. Catalano, he was in a good battle with Trey Whitehead off turn 3. I believe he got a little tight. May have brushed the wall. Definitely lost some momentum. And the 25 and the 27 able to take advantage, as Cogswell will now move to 7th, shifting Catalano back into the 8th position. This battle at the front, though, top 4. Hot and heavy for the lead. Back to the final spot in this group. Holden now up here in this conversation in that very easy to see neon green 59. Yeah, to your point, 7 lap fresher tires than the other 3 drivers in this pack.
Yeah, so he is going to be really worthwhile keeping an eye on. But the big thing for him is he doesn't want to blow the doors off them at the same time. He's got to be smart about how he sets up these moves. The other thing is, he might have burned some of that tire off getting to this point as well. So there's every opportunity that was a thing. This is going to be tight.
Yeah,
it's going to be
DJ
real
Daniels,
tight.
he was trying to keep it in the throttle there, got loose off of turn 1, opened the door on the top side for Alan Dobbs to drive alongside. Side by side out of the tunnel turn, advantage to that outside line groove, now taking it down into 3. I believe Daniels got a bump from Kyle Holden going into this corner. Trying to make the most of that. 2 by 2, battle for the lead, battle for 3rd. Quite a ways back, nearly a second and a half back to the 5th place car, which right now is Trey Whitehead. Saw a driver hit pit road moments ago. That was Matt Metler. Looked like regularly scheduled stop for the 31, though projected a little bit outside of the fuel window to make it the rest of the way. So I don't know if he's banking on a caution to save him some laps he'd be lacking, or if he's just going to be in fuel save mode from now to the checkered flag. We can also update a couple more drivers out of this race. We saw Dalton McKenney take a big hit into the inside wall. He's taken his car to the garage. Whoa! 61 Rankin! Big save there on the Long Pond straightaway.
I was wondering how long it was going to be before one of us made an error like that, and it just happened to be me. But the racing was so tight up there, and there was so little. There was crossover moves. That last lap to that point, there was crossover moves. There was a slide job sent. There was a crossover move as a response, and that's what ended up happening as well.
Drops back to the 7th position, but able to gather it back up. What did that do in terms of the tires? You were able to hang on to it, but that couldn't have been good for the Goodyears.
They're actually not too bad, Seth. I
wow.
thought I was going to be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, I might have just put a mark on them, so might have warned them just a fraction, but they're actually not too bad.
So now 3-car breakaway, maybe going to add a fourth. Trey Whitehead trying to catch the slipstream. Oh, wow, big hit into the outside wall for DJ Daniels. Now
He's
Kyle
struggling.
Holden
He is
will make
actually
his way
struggling
around.
at times. DJ's having a lot of problems trying to get the front end of the car to turn and bite. Is his biggest issue right now.
That's definitely going to draw the 23 up now. And may also add in 5th through 7th. Faccianato, McDonald, and Rankin here in just a few moments as we're going to go 3 for the 5th position. Faccianato backs out of that. It's now between Rankin and McDonald. Donald gonna, ooh, I thought he was gonna get the wall. The car kept riding up, but he just barely is able to stay clear of it. And he'll hang on to that 5th position for the time being. This about 0.6 of a second behind Trey Whitehead.
Yeah, so it's tough at the moment. These race cars are starting to get harder and harder to drive, Seth. The problem in the long run is that there's a big bump off the exit of 1 right now at the bottom. And that bump exists at the bottom of 3 as well. So pointing the car and driving. But remember how I said the line's starting to shift. You can defend from the top around here. You can build the momentum, and that's what you're starting to see. Sneaking off of the pit lane, not a bad call. We've hit the pit window. You can make it from here.
That'd be Cogswell, who's going to throw down the gauntlet here with the window open. He's looking to make his final pit stop of the evening. But another thing that we saw happen, Scott, that we have to talk about here with these drivers, you have to execute on pit road. You cannot speed. We saw what happened to Kyle Holden at the end of stage 2. Speeding penalty, found himself a lap down, had to rely on a caution after the stage ending yellow to get back on the lead lap and back to where he is. You make a mistake on pit road, now you're more than likely throwing away this victory.
Yeah, it's done. So pit lane will be crucial. And have a look at them slicing for that track position to the bottom of the racetrack, but they are racing each other so hard up at the front at the moment. So this is not easy. Getting the car pulled up, getting the car woed up, giving the draft, giving the bump, all of that is critical to getting the job done down here.
DJ Daniels did have Alan Dobbs cleared off of turn 3 with the slide job. Dobbs able to get back around. Holden for a moment might have been thinking about 3 wide, but he backs off a bit. That may help him because DJ Daniels again gets the wall off of turn 1. Holden will go back to 2nd. You got the lap car there of Matt Mettler. He's already made potentially his final pit stop of the evening. Now Trey Whitehead looking to make his way around him, trying to get up there into that 3-car fight for the top position.
This is tight. Have a look at that lead group as well, just according back together at the moment. So effectively the draft is kicking in. This is where the super speedway aspect of this race takes over. No one can really get away from each other. It's a big, big problem. Everyone wants to send that move. Everyone has the speed to be able to make that move, but no one can pull it off right now. And I'll tell you what, Seth, these tanks are getting empty too.
Talked about the fact that, you know, there's a lot of aspects with how wide, spacious, fast this racetrack is to super speedway racing, how prevalent the draft is. When we have super speedway racing and we near a green flag pit stop, there's communication that goes on. If I'm coming down this lap, are you coming with me? I need a drafting partner. Do you think that communication's going on right now? Because we've got a lot of Toyotas up here that maybe might come to pit road altogether.
Yeah, there'll be definitely some conversation about that for sure. I haven't heard anything yet, but Trey Whitehead's coming to the lane.
Dobbs is in. Dobbs is coming in. DJ Daniels going to follow him as well.
There was no communication about that whatsoever. So, it's an interesting one. Remember, Kyle Holden went a lot longer. Remember his stop? It was about 11 laps after everyone stopped for the end of stage 2.
Much like a super speedway, like Daytona, pit road speed 55 miles per hour. We'll keep tabs on our race leaders that just made the dive onto pit road. Make sure that they adhered to the speed limit. Trey Whitehead and Ryan Catalano were also on pit road that lap. So 3 of our top 5 came to pit road with 22 to go.
I think Kyle just said he's pitting.
Yes, he is. Low off of turn 3, Holden coming into pit road. And he's going to get joined here by Rankin and McDonald. That's going to put the 77 of Patrick McQuaid out in front. He'll get himself at least a lap led here this evening at Pocono. That'll have the Patrick McQuaid fan club and our YouTube chat very happy, as Patrick was, I believe, running in the 12th position before this cycle of pit stops began. The Muffler Man Chevrolet. Christian Ruse has also stayed out. Jeffrey Kleinsma, Chris Hubka, Chris Roberge, and Mark Gonzalez. Those are the 6 that we are waiting on of our lead lap cars to complete this cycle of pit stops here with 20 laps to go.
And I think we're going to have more pitting. I'm pretty sure we're just about got the field pitted this time by. Lead pack's a little bit spread. There's a couple cars that got away. I think Daniels and Dobbs have got that margin. Trey has driven his way into a great race position at this point in time. He's done a phenomenal job, because remember, he was on the back foot not too long ago. Holden's done a great job driving through the field. So everyone out of that DJ Motorsports outfit has done a phenomenal job with getting themselves set up for this final stage. A lot of them have faced adversity today.
3 more drivers on pit road. We saw McQuaid, Chris Hubka, Jeffrey Kleinsma coming down pit road with him. We now await 2 drivers. Christian Ruse will stay out. He'll get himself at least a lap led here tonight. Chris Roberge also has stayed out. And that should, when those 2 come to pit road, actually also add Mark Gonzalez into that list of those that have not yet pitted. And then when those 3 pit, should translate the lead over to the 35 of Alan Dobbs. 14 going to stay out another lap. So I asked you about the window of, when was the earliest you could pit to make it the rest of the way. On the flip side, just how much further can the 14, the 9, and the 8 be able to go before they absolutely will have to dive onto pit road?
About lap 62. So from there, you can get through to about lap 86 or so. So they can go a touch longer. They might be able to get deeper into the 90s, to be perfectly honest with you, with a couple of those caution laps. They've actually not doing too bad. I would say things have probably gone their way quite well. They've got to make a play for strategy is the big thing. And the other thing is, Gonzalez, I believe, is what? He's 3rd at the moment, so he's just off of turn 1. He's got a potential, if he's saved enough fuel to this point, and he saves fuel like he did in that second stage, there's an opportunity for him to win the race. It is a long way to go yet, and he's not quite done, but he could do it.
He does have some damage, I noticed, on the right front as well. Might have pancaked the wall. This is maybe where the battle for the race lead will cycle around to, if we end up seeing our top 3 dive onto pit road in these final 17 laps. Alan Dobbs only a couple of car lengths back to DJ Daniels. Mentioned Dobbs, he's looking for his 2nd win in a row, his 3rd win in the last 4 races. DJ Daniels looking to get back to victory lane for the first time since Auto Club Speedway back in mid-February. So nearly 2-month winless spell for him. Trey Whitehead, our stage 1 winner, right now in 6th unofficially, would cycle to 3rd. Kyle Holden right now in the unofficial 4th position, as he's 7th, and Scott Rankin would be the top 5 once we have our top 3 come to pit road, currently now in the 8th spot. Nice comeback for Noah Jackson as well. If our top 3 cannot make it, Jackson will cycle around to 7th place after he had that solo spin down the straightaway between turns 2 and 3, has made his way back up into the top 10, and may potentially have a shot at the top 5, depending on how much raw speed is still underneath the hood of that Caterpillar Toyota Camry. As Christian Ruse has dove onto pit lane, so too has Mark Gonzalez. We now just await one final car, the Monster Energy number 9 of Chris Roberge.
Yeah, so I was curious. I don't think Roberge is going to be able to go much further at all. So he's going to be due in the lane very, very shortly. This lead pack is starting to close up as well. As the biggest issue is that margin between Trey Whitehead and DJ Daniels is it's over a second, so there's no draft being offered. But at the moment, Trey's not getting any support from Kyle. Kyle's about to get to him, and look at the separation you're starting to get to between the top two as well. They'd be saving a little bit of tire at this point in time, trying to keep themselves, ensure they've got rubber underneath them for when they need to burn it, but at the same time, if they can increase this margin, it's critical.
Like a little co-opetition right there. Trey Whitehead maybe feeling that Kyle Holden has a slightly faster machine, or at least a car that's better to lead. Let him by and tucks in behind to now try formulating, as you mentioned, that tandem to try and reel in the top two. But we're looking right now, even just the gap from second place DJ Daniels to the third place car of Kyle Holden is 2.2 seconds. With 15 to go, if the draft is tight enough, is that enough time to make it a 5-car pack and a 5-car fight for this win, as Trey's going to get the wall there off of turn 2?
He didn't lose too much is the big critical thing for Trey right there. But yes, if the three of us can all sort of formulate, get to a point whereby I can put some energy on a Trey, we will start taking time out of these guys. And that's the big key. I could make an overtake right now. It's not going to work. I'm going to lose the momentum, and I'm going to make the whole pack struggle. So I want to fight for a win. That's formulating my decision-making skills at the moment, because I'm trying to push Trey all the way back up to Kyle, and that'll allow Kyle to go a lot faster as well. So again, decision-making. I do want to race them. The time to race them is not yet.
Robert's still out there. Currently, according to my scoring, he can only go another 2 laps before he'll have to dive onto pit road, and that will eventually turn the race lead over to this battle. Well, I say battle, but it may right now just be trying to run away from 3rd through 5th, that being Alan Dobbs and DJ Daniels. They're going to encounter the lap machine of Jeffrey Kleinsma. Kleinsma is the only car 1 lap down right now, and he's about to fall a 2nd lap down, currently in the 19th position. We have had another retiree out of the race within the last 3 laps. That being the 19 of Peyton Holland. So 19 drivers running, 18 of them currently on the lead lap. Kleinsma the only lap car as things tight there in that battle for the lead. DJ Daniels took a peek to the left rear quarter panel of the 35 through turn 1. Just noticed the
a little bit of communication.
Whitehead dropping back there. Looks like his car might be struggling right now.
He is. He's struggling a little bit for turn, and there was just a little bit of communication. I recognized that, jumped on the radio to Trey and just sort of said, what do you got? I can't quite get to Kyle at the moment to push him. So a little bit of recognition that, you know, things need to change up at this point if we can get to the leaders. So that's the goal. I did him a deal. I said by lap 95, if we're not a part of that lead pack, then he can have the spot back. We'll go back and race for it.
Lead change. Chris Roberts has hit pit road. DJ Daniels, now the new race leader with 12 laps to go. Very low there off of turn 1, little loose. You can see the back end stepping out. Alan Dobbs, we've seen him make passes on the outside. He pulled the drivers right, looking to clear even before they get down here to the tunnel turn. DJ with the preferred line there on the inside, slides up in front. He'll keep the top position. Looking at lap times, that second group back there, Holden, Rankin, Whitehead, they were almost anywhere from 3/10 to a full half second faster than the top 2. And you can visibly see them right there off of turn 3. So we are going to have a 5-car fight here for this race victory. 3 former winners on the season, 2 drivers looking for their first checkered flag of the 2025 season.
This is getting tight. I think we're going to connect with them too. Remember that this pack back here, Kyle and I are in, we've both got 1 lap fresher tires. That may not be a lot, but it is something. It shouldn't be very much at all. And you know what? I think the packs have just connected. We've got draft of Jeff Kleinsma out there.
And probably people wondering, well, why then are the top 2 battling? I think the case right now is neither one of them want to be that second-placed car and be the first one to start getting freight trained. They feel that if you're the car out in front, not only do you have the clean air, but you got a little bit of time to plan a strategy to set up a defensive line if a move is made on you for the race lead.
Yep. There's a lot going on like that. And again, fighting, well, once the guys behind you have caught you, it's over. It's a little bit late at that point. I think TJ actually just dropped back in and tried to offer some support, so we'll see.
15 of Kleinsma doesn't look like he's off the pace. He could be a bit of an X factor here in terms of a drafting aid. Long ways back to the 6th place car of Dylan McDonald, 7th place Noah Jackson. They're currently in line for top 10s, but they would need a yellow to be able to get back into this conversation.
We got it.
And
we got the yellow.
Wow. That's Ryan Catalano going around, and he's backed it into, I would assume, the inside wall. Lot of damage on the back end of the Pittsburgh Steelers machine, and that's his rear bumper right there doing, I guess that's the Macarena. I saw another car wreck earlier in practice and saw their left front fender kind of dancing around. I don't know what it is that causes that. It's very interesting to the eyes, but confusing to the brain.
I think his engine's gone as well, yeah, and he's going to take the tow back to pit lane, so his day's done. Which is a shame, because he's put his car in a couple of really, really good spots here today. Is he on the outside here? I think he is.
He is, and I'm pretty sure there's an opening in the wall at a 45-degree angle, and I think that might be what he hits.
Oh, he's trying to come down. He's trying to come down.
Trying to block louder. And
he'll know that car is bent.
Yep.
The right front tire will be off that car.
And you see the back bumper cover coming off there. Just shows how important every position is. That was a block for 9th place. We'll take it back here into turn 1. See Louder push up a bit there.
Trey Whitehead just jumped on the comms as well and said, I never thought I'd see the day. Yeah, he blocked late. And Ryan will be disappointed with that one. But, yeah, that's a late block, so. This is going to be exciting now, Seth.
I mean, you said there's a set of fresh tires that everybody's probably going to have here near the end. Are we coming down for them or no?
Oh, you got to come down for fresh tires. 100%. We ran 11 laps very hard. So the whole field will come for tires here.
You know who didn't? Chris Roberge. He's only got 3 laps on his tires there.
Cogswell. And Jonathan Cogswell's actually, he was one of the first guys to pit lane, I thought.
Yes, he was. Even worse off than a lot of the leaders. 16-lap old tires there. There's Roberge. He did stay out. That doesn't surprise me. He'd only turned a couple of circuits of green flag laps on his tires. Was one of the last ones onto pit road, but really surprising there on Cogswell. I believe Jonathan was in either 8th or 9th when that caution came out, so I don't know what kind of a net gain he would be looking for by staying out here. Especially because he had the oldest car or the oldest tires in the field.
No, he didn't. Matt Metler did. Matt Metler pit at the end of lap 72. I don't know he can make it on fuel.
Oh, yeah.
This even with this caution, he's going to be running out, I think, coming to the line, and even with the caution.
Well, also bear in mind, we have the opportunity for at least 3 overtime green-white checkers. So if we get to that point, he definitely can't make it to the conclusion.
I'll tell you what, Seth, I got to curse at Pocono. I am one of the most unlucky guys when it comes to Pocono. I've always got great car speed when I come here, and I think you touched on it. It's the road course nature of the turns, right? Late apexes. But something always happens late in my Pocono races, and on this occasion, slid through the stall.
Oh, no.
DJ Daniels did the same. I told you that fact way back at the start was going to be critical. And I kept telling you about it because it was a reminder to myself as much as it was to the drivers in the field.
It's like some varying strategies there, too. Dobbs, Louder, Fascianato went with 2 tires.
There's a heap of guys that have done that. I said track position will be relevant. The key part on this restart is what lane they're in, and do they get single filed out before that happens? Because if they get single filed out, they should get freight train and picked off. But if it'll depend. If you got 2 guys that are on 2 tires and they're side by side through the restart, it'll check everyone else up behind them. You'll see guys send it 3 and 4 wide. So in that instance, it's actually the best. You want to be on the bottom. because the reason to be on the bottom is you can generally slide poke your nose in underneath somebody. If you're out against the fence and the two lanes are against the fence, you're boxed in, you can't go anywhere.
Well, the problem with that bottom line is inside of row 1 is a driver with 17 lap old tires. Inside of row 2 is a driver with 21 lap old tires. So that might take away the inside line advantage unless we talked about how wide this racetrack is. We could see them fanning out 3-4 wide going into turn 1. The fresh tires trying to take advantage of the older tires and try and clear them before we even get out of the first corner heading down the Long Pond straightaway. So this could be maybe one of the wildest restarts of the night so far at Pocono.
Yeah, the tempers, everything's going to drop. It would not surprise me to see us use a green-white check here. Would not surprise me in the slightest. I think it's only going to take one caution to get there.
We saw Jeffrey Kleinsma up there with the leaders at the time that caution flew. First car 1 lap down, got the free pass. He'll restart back in the 15th position. 18 drivers running, 17 on the lead lap. Chris Hubka is back on pit road. Ryan Catalano, after bringing out this most recent yellow, out of the race. Jonathan Cogswell, he's the control car. He'll get us back underway. Robert's got a decent jump as well. Now it's going to be on third place on back, and you're starting to see some fanning out, some looks here. 3 wide going into turn 1. Louder to the bottom, Holden to the bottom. 4 wide potentially back here around the 20 of Noah Jackson as there's contact between himself and Trey Whitehead.
That's unfortunate, because that's going to be a huge loss of momentum. Now they're going to try and get themselves regather, get themselves back in. There is still time. There is still time. And just with the way that the tire strategies are in the middle of this field.
Alan Dobbs looking for the race lead. Ooh, nice save.
No, it's banned. It's done. That's not a save.
You may still get a yellow the way they're racing up here inside of the top 5. Jackson and Lauder nearly making contact off of turn 3. Cogswell now in a battle for third with Kyle Holden. Dylan McDonald in this conversation. Here's DJ Daniels diving at low 3 wide. Contact made, rubbing doors, forcing the 38 up the track. Near contact, actually contact made now for the 5th position. Jackson and Lauder. Lauder will win out in that battle.
Alan Dobbs got to the point, and he's gone. So he got the hole. He found wherever the hole was. And then there's all those guys that are on those older tires that are in that little next pack. So he's gapping them at the moment. He will keep pulling away.
Sean Lauder, I think, just got the wall moments ago there in a 3 wide. Kyle Holden drives it deep into turn 3. He's still got to get around Chris Roberge before he can even think about focusing on Alan Dobbs. Both these drivers trying to break that tie. 2 wins apiece here in 2025. Here's the move to the bottom by Holden. Can he get back to the throttle through the center of the corner is the question. Not clear up.
And the longer this goes on, the more advantage that Dobbs will make. And have a look at Kyle's got to go for this, and he's got to go for it right now.
Drives it in, slides it up, clears to second. Cogswell, Roberge, now Dylan McDonald, 3 wide into 3. Noah Jackson in this conversation as well. Wraps it right on the yellow line. McDonald will clear across the nose of Cogswell to third.
Oh, big wreck in the back. Yellow's going to be out.
Sean Lauder, Trey Whitehead. And this will send us to overtime. Stage 1 winner Trey Whitehead. Lot of damage on that machine, specifically the left front. 12 of Sean Lauder also involved. You just had the feeling, right? Getting down to the end here. Slide jobs, double wide, 3 wide.
And it'll be louder and Whitehead, and they're talking about it on the radio as well. Again, apologies from both drivers. They were both saying, again, the thing from Trey is that Lauder's in a blind spot there. He's got no knowledge. The spotter would be easier going car low, but you don't often get a call of where that car is in iRacing, and that'll be the thing for him, is he's not 100% certain of how tight on him he is.
Yeah, Robert's on older tires, a little slower off the corner. Whitehead was trying to go low on him. And to your point, didn't realize the 12 of Sean Lauder was there. Lauder pancaking the left side of his machine. The damage on the 23 more to the nose, specifically that left front, as we'll give you an aerial shot of just how tight it gets coming off of the corner.
Yeah, there is barely enough width for 3 cars to go through there.
I think there were 2 different agendas there. I think the 23 is trying to get to the inside of the 9. The 12's trying to side draft the 23, and there just was not enough room. They just ran out of room, both wanting just the slightest little piece of real estate.
And the thing is, that room was there early. And he tried to take it, and at the same time, Sean tried to pull him back. And Sean wouldn't have known how close he was to the car on his right. He would have had a reasonable guess that there was probably some room there, but yeah. Green white checkers though, time, Seth.
Yes, it is.
And the critical thing is, who's got fuel to make it? Remember, you said earlier on, this is a big racetrack. This is a big racetrack.
Only drivers I would be concerned about right now, Matt Mettler. Still has not come to pit road. I thought he would have taken the opportunity here under this yellow. 26 laps he's been out there. Jonathan Cogswell would be the other one.
He won't. So Mettler won't make it on fuel. And
Cogswell's got 22 laps right now, so might be able to make 1 green-white checkered. I don't think he'd be able to make a second.
Yeah.
And we have 3 green-white checkers at our disposal. For those unfamiliar with green-white checkered means, we'll get the 1 to green. Green flag will come out. We race back to the white flag. If the white flag's displayed, next flag's going to end the race. But if we end up having a caution come out before the leader receives the white flag, we rack them up, and we do it all over again. Maximum of 3 overtime green-white checkered attempts. So 2 more in the holster should we need them here. This will be the first of potentially 3. And we're back where we started. Front row, when we kicked off the race here tonight, it was Alan Dobbs on the inside of the front row, Kyle Holden on the outside. They're going to be alongside each other again here on potentially the final restart of the night. These 2 drivers came into this race with 2 victories apiece. They also came into this race with Dobbs up 5 points on Kyle Holden for the regular season championship. Take a look who's up in 3rd place though now. Dylan McDonald trying to add his name to the list of those different drivers that have picked up a checkered flag here in the 2025 season. Cogswell in 4th, and Noah Jackson has fought his way back up into the 5th position. Give me a number here, Scott. How far back can you be and still have a shot at this thing if we only have this 1 green-white checkered attempt?
Well, the big thing is Dobbs is going to have an advantage off the launch. He's going to have a massive advantage when he puts the gas pedal down because he's controlling that restart. Dylan McDonald's in a really, really strong position. Kyle's been quick, but I don't think we've ever actually seen Kyle and Alan Dobbs go head-to-head today. We've seen Kyle run him down in that long run, but we've never actually seen both of these guys go head-to-head in terms of outright lap speed. And the other thing, I'm just thinking back to the practice session. Now, practice session, obviously, the track has changed so much since then. I think the track has actually come to Kyle a little bit. But back in the practice session, he was struggling to put the lap times down. That's all changed a little bit. But one of the things you can say about Kyle is that he's strong at super speedway style racing. The bigger the racetrack, generally does a lot better. So this falls into his wheelhouse. He's certainly been picking his way off it, figuring it out as the day goes on. He is definitely in with a shot, we shall say, for sure. I think McDonald is an outside chance. If anything goes on in those front couple rows, but green-white checkers attempts. If we use all 3, anyone in the field can win. If we only use the 1, I think your top 4 are probably your best target. I just don't see anyone further back than that winning the race.
To your point, Kyle Holden, his super speedway prowess, started out the season with a checkered flag at Daytona. And going back to Dylan McDonald in that 38, right now in line for a career day, as he is yet to score a top 10 finish in the 6 races he's participated in this season. He's 29th in points. He's looking not only for his first top 10, but more than likely, with the speed we've seen, if he's able to time this restart well, his first top 5 here in 2025.
Yeah, I got him in an outside shot. I think he's good enough for a podium here. And if you have a look at that top 5 as well, I mean, Jackson's back in there. Cogswell's quick on short run. He falls off. He overdrives the entries a little bit, but that's his biggest strength on this next run. That's going to hit the front tires up enough. So he actually is every shot. Jackson's there. Jackson's quick enough. DJ Daniels, I mean, he's going to be aggressive. That you know.
There we go. Green, white checkered here to potentially finish out tonight's Val Green Builders 260. Great launch for Dobbs. McDonald was ready as well. Looks to clear for the second position as they head for turn number 1. Single filed out. From first back to fourth, now Holden looks low on McDonald. Old tires of Cogswell getting eaten up as they exit out of turn 1.
Yep, here it comes. Will they get back to the white? If it's going to happen, it's generally down here in turn 2. Cars on fresh tires that just pit as well, so they may get loose as they get out of here.
Top 4 all equal footing on their Goodyears. Oh, DJ Daniels gets the wall there. Side by side for second. That might be exactly what Alan Dobbs wants to see out the back window. What he wants to see out the windshield, though, is the white flag waving in the flag stand as he makes his way out of turn 3. Holden still side by side with McDonald. White flag in the air. We're racing back. Race will be official. Next flag will end the race. Dobbs with about half a car length back to a nose to tail between McDonald and Holden for second place.
And this is a big one. So he's done 3/4 of the job right here. You had to get aggressive into turn 1. That's where the biggest opportunity is. I think I saw Christian Ruse or someone around that spot for about 7th jump out of line and try. They're going to go tight. Are they 3?
They are
in the
3.
field for
Patrick McQuaid, Cogswell, Noah Jackson on the top side of that 3 wide. And Cogswell, loose, hangs onto it. 4
He had a great
wide.
shot, and he can't be upset with himself tonight, Jonathan Cogswell, but no one is going to stop Alan Dobbs out in front.
3 car lengths back to his nearest competitor. Win number 3 on the season. Dobbs going to pick up the victory in the Val Green Builders 260, his second win in a row. He will continue to extend his points lead to Kyle Holden. It won't be by much, but it'll be enough heading into Watkins Glen next week.
Yeah, and he's starting to chain them together now. He's hit his straps. I think the biggest note is that that's the respect from DJ Daniels. He loved that today. They all loved it up at the point. It was aggressive. Everyone had their shot. Everyone tried to have a crack at them. And yeah, it is what it is. Good racing. Very good racing.
Rewind back to the end of stage 1. Alan Dobbs, late block on Trey Whitehead, gets spun around off the exit of turn 2. Makes slight contact with the right rear. Had to fight his way back up to the front for a majority of the second stage. Controlled most of the third stage and timed the final restart to keep everybody in the rearview mirror to pick up the victory here tonight. His 3rd win in the last 4 weeks, and he will get to burn it down here in the Pocono Mountains. Dylan McDonald brings it home with his best finish of the season in 2nd, and Kyle Holden going to complete the podium in that 3rd position. Those will be the drivers we'll be talking to in just a few moments in our FRN post-race wind-down.
What a race. That had it all. Swaps for the lead, drafting battles, bump drafts, people going forward, people going backward, a whole bunch. There was a lot there, Seth. And, you know, at the end of the day, guys making mistakes at critical points in times as well. We talked about that. You can't make mistakes when it comes down to the money stop. You've got to be aggressive up at the pointy end, and it was aggressive, but people also showed, you know, what they can do and who they want to support, and it was still clean. People were leaning on each other, but it never got more than leaning on each other. And I think the big thing is that everyone was talking about that in race. It was, hey man, I made a mistake here. Hey man, I made a mistake here. That one's on me. Hey, what did you think of this one? My car was real tight on you. I could have come down. I could have given you a little bit more room. I tried to slide jump you a little bit. Respect was shot. I think the big thing that's going forward from this point in time is that everyone saw the aggression level, they matched it, and they respected it at the same time. Everyone was very, very happy with the level of respect. Big day, though, for that 38 machine in the back shot. Remember, we were just talking about his best finish on the season, P2. Gets himself not just inside the top 5, but second best on the day.
That is his first top 10, his first top 5 of the 2025 season. And we've seen, in series, Scott, it just takes that one good finish. Really boost your confidence, and you start stringing them together after you just have that first initial really good finish. Some other drivers had some good runs here tonight. Didn't necessarily look like they were destined for them. Patrick McQuaid, he's going to bring it home with another solid run. 5th place for him. Christian Roos is going to bring it home in 6th. Noah Jackson had a strong car. Kind of lost track position after his spin, was never able to gain it back, but he'll still get a top 10 in 7th. How about Jeffrey Kleinsma? Got the free pass 2 cautions ago, able to battle back for an 8th. And Jonathan Cogswell, the old tires, while it didn't necessarily net him a top 5, he was still able to hang on for a top 10 run. And he needed this race to only have that one overtime. If we had gone into a second overtime, there's no way he was going to be able to make it on fuel. So he got saved there with the fact that this was the only overtime green-white checkered we have able to net it home in a top 10 finish.
There you go, though. He got aggressive with it as well. He was willing to, the big thing for those guys who are on old tires, they've still got to be aggressive and try and defend and hang on to their spots. And he did that. But he also gave it, I think you called it, there were 4 wide on the entry to turn 3 on the final lap of the race, and everyone walked away from that one. So again, guys getting aggressive, guys giving them the room to do so, give him a little bit of room to make mistake, but the guy that's on the bottom, he's not just dive bombing it and washing up the racetrack and taking everybody out. So, that's what I like. And it's very rare that you get that in a league in iRacing. Normally somebody gets annoyed with someone, the red mist starts to fly, that's it. They're just going to send it. And you don't get the opportunity. So, but great job by the field today.
Marlon Faccianato gained some good stage points back in the completion of stage 2. 11th for him. Matt Metler was a lap down at one point, 12th place. Chris Roberge, he was kind of off-kilter in terms of strategy with everybody else. 13th for him. Sean Lauder, Mark Gonzalez, your top 15. And last drivers to finish this race were CJ Papa and Trey Whitehead, who took the green and white checkers back at the conclusion of stage 1. You look down here through the remainder of the finishing results, a couple of names that kind of stand out in terms of their positioning in points or in terms of their momentum in the last couple of weeks. Dalton McKenney, top 10 in the standings. The consistent streak kind of comes to an end for him as he finishes 21st. And our Daytona winner, Chris Reese, 24th position here tonight after a hard impact into the inside wall. And then Tyler Rice, we ended up seeing him have numerous good finishes at top 10 a few weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, it netted his first top 5, but here tonight did not fare well at the tricky triangle. Mark Gilbert really never got out of the blocks as he was involved in an early wreck, and Johnny Williams, we understand he was under the weather, and he parked early, did a start and park there in that 3 machine. The last driver scored in this race in the 27th position. But that's now going to take us into our FRN post-race wind down. It's time to dial up some of our top 3 finishers and find out what they had to go through here tonight to be able to net these finishes up at the top of the finishing results. I believe we have our third, well, I think our third place finisher is currently in like a review with his teammates and everything. So we'll wait on him. We'll let him take care of that. We'll see if we can now grab a hold of the driver that finished in second place. His first top 5 of the season. Let's get a hold of Dylan McDonald. Hey, Dylan, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, how's it going?
Man, great run for you here tonight. Really aggressive on those final restarts to be able to gain that very valuable track position. Dogfight there to hang on to the second place, but we talked about coming into tonight. You were looking for your first top 10. Then we're talking about you getting your first top 5. Now we're talking you up here in the booth with your first podium on the season. And we talk about how sometimes it only just takes that one good finish to get that momentum going. How about the race here tonight, and how do you see this helping you on the road going forward here in the regular season?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a confidence booster. I do like Pocono. I was talking to Scott earlier in the before the broadcast went up and everything. He told him like, Pocono is one of those tracks where you got to kind of drive it like a road course. And I'm not really good at road courses, but Pocono, it's one of those tracks where you can be aggressive, but not aggressive at the same time. Passing, obviously, got to set up the pass coming out of the corner. So focused on that. There was a lot of bumping and banging throughout the race, but I'm just happy I finished. I can mark that off my record books. It has been a great season for me ever since I, got moved from a team onto just free agency. So finally able to get out here and capitalize on a very well finish.
I think it's one of those things where you just go through one of those poor patches in terms of your racing form, and then all of a sudden you find this purple patch that you're in at the moment. Things are just going from strength to strength. But I hear you talking about you were in there, you were amongst the Hubco Motorsports boys and chatting to them a whole bunch. I think the big change for you is just having that sense of mateship, comradeship, companionship around you whilst you're driving race cars as well. It's easy to get frustrated, but I think one of the keys that you're probably going to talk about this is just the level-headedness over in that crew.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's keeping a level head. Nobody's griping at each other or anything like that. Me personally, I'm not a big talker, especially whenever I'm racing. And it's just, like everybody's having fun. Everybody's keeping everybody calm, cool, and collected. Um, Honestly, I thought my race was over when Noah Jackson did the full 360 and caught me with it. But luckily, I was able to get into pit lane, get that fixed, and I'm not really fond of the next gen car as of recent. I've been running a lot of the truck series stuff, so trying to dabble back into it and see what else I can do out here with the Grand Cup series.
A great run for you here this evening, Dylan. Congratulations on netting your first top 5 of the season. As we said, hopefully this is a sign of great things to come as you try and make a push towards the playoffs. Maybe see this 38 parked in victory lane before we get to the conclusion of the regular season. But we'll now give you the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to give you and Scott a big shout out in the broadcast booth week in and week out. It's always having fun with Scott down there on the racetrack with us. Got to give a big shout out to Michael Conti and Team Conti's Sim Performance on the hood of this number 38 machine. Got to give a big shout out to my buddy Johnny Taylor over at Nitro Setups or Nitro Racing, Spillers Towing, Travis Auto Services, and also Dustin Hall with Team Conti. Got the Jimmy Strong on the back bumper. Can't wait to see it go into victory lane for him.
That's Dylan McDonald, second place here tonight in the Pocono Mountains at Pocono Raceway. Congratulations on the great run. Enjoy the off week, and best of luck in 2 weeks' time when we head up to the Northeast to Watkins Glen International.
All right, thank you.
Dylan McDonald talked about just how big this finish is for him. Second place, his best finish coming into tonight of his 6 previous starts, 22nd. What a huge change in luck for driver 38 here tonight. Let's see if we can get a hold of the driver that came into this race tied for most wins on the season. He'll look to now tie it back up at 3 apiece in a couple weeks' time. Let's get a hold of our third place finisher, Kyle Holden. Hey, Kyle, Scott, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a copy?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Well, good to see you back on the racetrack here this week, and almost had a shot at this victory, but the road was not smooth. We saw the speeding penalty back there at the end of stage 2. You lost a lot of track position. How tough was the road to cut your way back up there to the front to even have a shot at this thing? And then in the closing stages, what little more do you need on that restart to have it be a mano-a-mano between you and the 35?
Yeah, we started off the race thinking we were going to do good, and I just completely forgot that the pit cone moved, and you got to brake earlier, so got that speeding penalty, went back. It was pretty challenging. I didn't really ever think I was actually going to get through the field, with seeming how draft locking it can get, but we had a couple cautions which kind of helped us out and got through some of them and almost didn't even make one of them. But we had a good race there. There at the end, we were hoping that last caution didn't come out because we were zooming, and I think we would have got to Allen and maybe gave him a run from his money there. But that last restart, we kept on sending it on Dylan, and he was doing the same exact thing, so there's nothing we could really do with that.
I think one of the biggest things tonight is, how tight it was. This is probably the highest turn entering speed on the run down to turn 1 before you get on the anchors, settle the car, turn it, brake it. Turn 2, it's a little lift. But the big thing is when you're running around at those speeds, you got to trust the guys around you. Everyone inside of that race was just, man, the racing was tight. It was close. I think the biggest thing you don't get in a lot of other places is, oh, I made a mistake. Hey, man, this is my, oh, that was a mistake. No worries. It's going on. Tell us what it's like being in a part of this league when you got drivers that are willing to own up to their own mistakes like that.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. They'll give it back to you or let you get around them when the time comes and stuff like that. So it's really nice. It kind of helps your race out a little bit. It'll always be those times where you're getting blocked from where they're not going to let it happen. But these guys are really nice, really clean. Try to do their best to be respectful. I know I got into you there when you were going in through turn 2. We kind of just met in the middle, getting into the wall, and you got the shit end of the stick there. So sorry about that.
That's racing. I mean, I was actually more I completely forgot that actually happened. I was actually more upset with your teammate DJ because when I was trying to get around him to try and get the lead, I had the run on him, and he sort of gave me no option of the options were lift or go into the fence. But I think same thing is a mistake. It's tough racing at that point in time, and it's a game of a foot. If you're a foot off that wall, you're not close enough to that wall. You're a foot off that car next to you, you're not close enough to that car next to you. And to have the trust we got at that level is supreme, I think.
Yeah, Pocono is, you got to be on it. You got to be 100%, 110% the entire time. And you got to be very consistent. The second you start losing, a little bit of time in each corner, you're going to start losing a lot, and you're just never going to gain it back.
So we got a week off coming up here, Kyle, and then in 2 weeks' time, we're going road course racing again. We'll be at Watkins Glen International. Our first road course race, you went to victory lane at the Chicago Street Course, and coming into tonight, points lead battle was really, really close. And I have a feeling that this guy down below us is going to maybe be on your back bumper again, much like he was at Chicago. When we get to that.
Bring it on.
So, I mean, what's the confidence level going into a racetrack like Watkins Glen? Because Scott and I were talking about this. If there's 2 racetracks that any stock car driver has been at for a road course configuration and they've gotten a lot of reps at, it's Watkins Glen and Sonoma. Do you think that we're going to have a little bit more level playing field and a lot more drivers in the conversation you'll have to battle next week? Or do you think that your road course program, it may come down to just a remote few that are going to be in the hunt for that checkered flag and maybe be able to go 2 for 2 in road course starts?
I think it's definitely, your road course guys are going to shine, but there's going to be some guys through the field that are going to shine as well, like that you just don't expect, because everyone's been to Watkins Glen. It's pretty easy as well, but where you're going to gain your most time is through that bus stop, and if you can take those curbs, you're going to gain a lot of time there. So if you can hold out through that and not wreck through there, you'll be pretty good. Yeah,
Scott made a point of talking about those curbs. They're definitely going to be something we'll be talking a lot about, I feel like, in a couple of weeks' time. But Kyle, congratulations on the podium finish here tonight, keeping that points battle close for the regular season championship. I know that we're not even halfway through the season, but hey, it's a storyline that I think we're going to be following quite a bit during the course of this entire regular season before the playoffs begin. We'll give the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, just huge thanks to you guys in the booth, Scott for racing and commentating at the same time. That's crazy. Huge thanks to Chris for putting on this league for us and putting up with us every week. And then huge thanks to DDRT and DJ for allowing me to be on the team.
Kyle Holden, 3rd place here tonight at the Pocono Speedway. And he will look to continue the momentum in a couple weeks' time as Watkins Glen, looking for a second road course victory on the season and looking to tie it back up at the top of the leaderboard in terms of victories, looking for win number 3 on the 2025 season. Congratulations on the great run here tonight, and see you in a couple weeks' time.
Appreciate it.
Let's now go down to victory lane. 3 wins on the season, back-to-back victories off of last week at Iowa Speedway. So you can dial up Alan Dobbs. Alan, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you, buddy.
I'll tell you what. The wheels on the 35 train, they be a-rolling with momentum. 3 victories in the last 4 weeks. Strong car here tonight, but we kind of saw quite a number of drivers that finished up inside of the top 5 have to work their way back up through the field. This car was no exception. Got spun out there from the race lead near the end of stage 1. Eventually got back up to the point, but a grind to do so. What was the difference in the feeling of the car in dirty air as opposed to the clean air you had in most of stage 1?
Oh, it was so tight. You had to really lift early and get your nose pointed underneath the car in front of you, or you were just plowing. So, like, it took a while to get through the cars because it was really hard to pass, and, like, it's pretty easy to defend in the middle lane. So, it definitely took a while. Just thankful I was able to get back up there after that spin, and only managed to pick up like 8 seconds of damage when that happened. So really, really, really lucky to get spun out here and get into the wall and, it not end your race.
I think for you, quite critically at the moment, Alan's just starting to hit your straps. It was strength early, but sort of nothing come from it. A little bit of luck the last couple of weeks for sure, but the pace has been there. I think, the big thing that you can say is just everything's just rolling away. Because at the moment, I feel each and every week there's probably 6 or 7 guys who can win any given race.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, Kyle, Dylan, DJ, Noah. I mean, there was 4 or 5. Trey, he was up there. There was 4 or 5 people that were, we battled really hard all night together. And even you up there, I don't know what happened to you, Rankin. I saw you get loose or something.
Don't ask.
Yeah, I already did. But anyway, yeah, there was. I mean, everybody had speed, and the draft is so strong that, I mean, you can be legitimately a 10th or 2 faster than somebody a lap, but they'll stay right there with you because you can't get away from them. And then somebody will push them from behind, and now they'll have a run to try to pass you. So it's really hard to defend here. You really got to just let people make their move and just try to set up the corner so you'll have an advantage on the exit. And that's really just what I tried to do most of the night.
We're not even halfway through this regular season. We still got about, I think, 3 or 4 more races till we even hit that point. Now, obviously, as broadcasters, we're looking at the points. We're looking at the stats. Kyle Holden, he caught fire at the beginning of the season. You've now been able to reel him in. You came into tonight as the points leader by 5 points. We don't have the updated points yet, but you'll increase that margin with you taking home the win, him finishing in 3rd position. At this point of the season, how much focus is there on points? Because we know there's obviously going to be a payout for the regular season champion that's going to be important when we end up getting to the playoffs. But as a driver mentally, are you now at this point in time just focused on those checkered flags and you're going to wait to kind of focus on that regular season championship later on? Or is it kind of something that goes hand in hand? If you get the checkered flag, you get the max points, you don't really necessarily have to worry about the overall point standings because you're getting the max points. You're more than likely still going to keep that points lead.
Yeah, I think that they go hand in hand. I mean, with the way that the playoff system works and the way that you can accrue bonus points for stage wins and race wins, finishing well all throughout the race is always important. And while I might be in the regular season points lead, Kyle is still in the playoff lead. So I still have some playoff points to catch up, to be a little bit closer to him for the start of the first round. But like you said, we have a really long time left. Sometimes it's hard to take a step back and just remember just how long the season is. You feel like every race is, do or die, the most important race of the season, but every race can't be the most important race. So you got to make smart moves and, just try to be there, try to get as many points as you can, try to stay in the conversation. Because, I mean, like you've seen, if somebody just kind of takes a hold and runs off with a few wins in a row, then, they can open up a pretty big points lead, and it's hard to get back to them.
Well, Alan, congratulations on your 3rd win on the season. First time you go coast-to-coast pull to win with getting your first pole on the season here tonight as well. So add that to your resume here in 2025. And 3rd win in the last 4 races. You get a little bit of an off week here to reset in preparation for Watkins Glen in 2 weeks' time. We'll let you get back to your celebrating, and we'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
All right. Just shout out to my beautiful wife, all the friends and family watching. Appreciate all the guys over at Hubka Motorsports, everybody that's in Discord, our affiliate teams. You guys for the broadcast. Honestly, hats off to everybody because this was top 3 of all the races so far this season, I think. So, great race, everybody.
That's Alan Dobbs. He is your winner here tonight at Pocono Raceway. The Val Green Builders 260 goes to driver 35, his 3rd checkered flag of the rather still young 2025 season for the Grind Cup Series. Congratulations on the victory, Alan. Enjoy the off week, and best of luck in a couple weeks' time when we head to Watkins Glen.
All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Alan Dobbs now at the top of the statistics in terms of race victories, 3 over Kyle Holden's 2. Scott, with, in the rearview mirror right now, the Pocono Raceway, Watkins Glen on the horizon, could be an interesting place for Holden to try and draw it back up, tie things back up in terms of that lead for the race victories. But you heard there with Alan Dobbs say that even though he may right now be at the top of the regular season standings, he's also keeping an eye on those playoff standings where the stage wins come into play, all those playoff points and everything as well. So while he may not be all that worried about points, he is aware of the situation, and we're not even halfway through the season.
Yeah, I think it's critical to keep your eyes up. So the big thing for him right now is that his strategy does change a little bit. If he's got an opportunity to do something that will net him one stage victory point, he will lock that in moving forwards. He's not going to give up. If he shows up 1 week moving forwards and he's the 5th fastest car, he's going to try and take 2 stage wins. And he will just give up the end of the race. Will be exactly the way that he runs it. He will try and, keep a good finish on for the end of the race because quite critically he doesn't lose that total points margin, but at the same time it's just bonus points. The only thing he's thinking about. Interesting to note that we're off to Watkins Glen in 2 weeks' time as well. It's potentially a second off week for a bunch of drivers. So heading in there off the back of a high, you have a look at Alan's last 2 wins. Iowa and Pocono. 2 very different driving race cars. 2 very different styles of race. 2 very different styles of track. And you have a look at the same sort of thing from Kyle. Kyle hasn't won a non-super speedway race or a road course race yet, but he's been in the equation every single week. That battle for the championship is juicy. And I was also talking to Tom Bourne last week as well. He is fired up like you wouldn't believe. He wants this. He wants this more than anything. And he said, this is dangerous for everybody else because now I'm fired up. He couldn't be here tonight, but he is fired up. And that's going to make him drive better. He said, you watch me. I'm going to work my ass off to try and improve this thing. So I think we've got ourselves, right now, it definitely looks like it's a 2-horse race. But just because it's a 2-horse race, I think we said, I think there's at least 5 guys who can win a race on any given week. I think it's more than that today.
Oh, yeah.
With 7 or 8 guys, and moving forward, I think you got 10 guys that can win races. It would not surprise me if we get to the end of the regular season, start playoffs, and there's 10 drivers with a win.
Yeah, you talk about the confidence, Dobbs, Holden, obviously, DJ Daniels has a win already, but we've seen him be able to fight his way up, not necessarily have a car that looks like it can win, but puts it in position for an opportunity. You mentioned about names like Noah Jackson, Trey Whitehead. They're just on the verge, it seems, of capturing a checkered flag. And even here tonight, with what we saw out of Dylan McDonald, it could take just this one race, the second-place finish for him, after having all of his previous finishes down out in the 20s, could be the turning point for a driver like that to find the confidence necessary to be in the hunt every single week. It's going to be a lot of fun to observe when we end up getting to our second road course stop of the season in 2 weeks' time at Watkins Glen International Raceway. Again, we will not be here next Wednesday night as drivers will be in an off week. Our coverage will resume on April 23rd. Correction, April 20. Let me just double check on that. It is April 23rd. No, I was correct. April 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when we'll be here from Watkins Glen International. Again, tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we've got the first race of the final round in the playoffs for Season 64, the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. Final 4 competitors in a 2-race final round to claim that championship. Again, that'll be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow night. Scott, great one here tonight. It seems like the running theme that we've heard out of the drivers here that these last month and a half, 2 months has been the racing has been fun, and it has been translated to what we have seen here in the broadcast booth as well, and I'm sure what the fans have been seeing as well. And can't wait to see what Watkins Glen has in store. Appreciate you joining me up here in the booth here tonight, pulling that double duty again behind the wheel and behind the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason I'm out there and doing the double duty each and every week is because it is fun. If it wasn't fun, I would have migrated back to single duty. But the race is so tight, it's so close, it's challenging from a skill level because completing the passes is so difficult because you got guys, you got you guys who are strong on entry, you got guys who are strong on the middle, you got guys who are strong on the short run, strong on the long run. Look at Cogswell. I mean, Cogswell's potential to win a race at some point if he gets a caution at the right time with a bit of track position. So I think the big thing is, Seth, I don't know what each and every week holds, and that's what makes me excited for showing up next week.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to Alan Dobbs, his third win on the season as he takes the Valgreen Builders 260 here tonight at the Pocono Raceway here in the 2025 season of the Esports Oval League Grind Cup Series. For Scott Rankin, I'm Seth Cole. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Watkins Glen International. Until then, you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.